আসসালামু আলাইকুম এবং শুভ সন্ধ্যা, শুভ সকাল, শুভরাত্রি। বাংলাদেশে 50 বছর পূর্তি উপলক্ষে সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশ আয়োজিত গ্র্যান্ড কনফারেন্স সিরিজ প্যানেল ডিসকাশনের আজকের দ্বিতীয় প্যানেল ডিসকাশন 50 ইয়ার্স অফ বাংলাদেশ ইন হেলথ কেয়ার অ্যান্ড রিসার্চ, ডিড উই ম্যাটার শীর্ষক আজকে প্যানেল ডিসকাশনে আমাদের আমন্ত্রিত অতিথি, প্যানেলিস্ট এবং আমাদের দর্শকদের স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। আমি মনিরুদ্দিন আহমেদ, সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশের পক্ষ থেকে। সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশ 2011 সালে যাত্রা শুরু করেছিল যখন আমি অস্ট্রেলিয়াতে পিএইচডি স্টুডেন্ট ছিলাম। বিগত প্রায় 11 বছর যাবৎ সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশ স্কোপাস ডাটাবেজে অন্তর্ভুক্ত বাংলাদেশের সায়েন্টিফিক পাবলিকেশন নিয়ে বাংলাদেশের বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়, গবেষণা প্রতিষ্ঠান এবং গবেষকদের একটি র্যাঙ্কিং প্রকাশ করে আসছে। এটাই হচ্ছে সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশের হাই ইম্প্যাক্ট অ্যাক্টিভিটি। এর পাশাপাশি সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশ গবেষণা এবং স্বাস্থ্য খাতের নীতি, পলিসি এবং গবেষণা ইম্প্যাক্ট নিয়ে যে কারো লেখায় প্রকাশ করে। আপনাদের সবাইকে আমি সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশে লেখার আমন্ত্রণ জানানোর সুযোগ নিচ্ছি আজকের এই অনুষ্ঠান থেকে। আজকে সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশের জীবনে একটি স্মরণীয় দিন, কারণ আজকে আমরা সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশ আয়োজিত আলোচনায় বাংলাদেশের স্বাস্থ্য খাতের প্রথিতযশা শিক্ষক, গবেষক এবং প্রশাসকদের পেয়েছি আমাদের অতিথি এবং প্যানেলিস্ট হিসেবে। আমাদের এই আয়োজনে অংশগ্রহণ করার জন্য আমি আপনাদের সবার প্রতি কৃতজ্ঞ এবং ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাতে চাই আমাদের সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশের হেলথ সায়েন্সেস এডিটর ডক্টর রুমি আহমেদ খান, যিনি এই আয়োজনের পিছনে মুখ্য ভূমিকা পালন করেছেন এবং আজকের এই আলোচনায় কিনোট স্পিকারের দায়িত্ব পালন করবেন। আর আমাদের এই আজকের আলোচনা সঞ্চালন করবেন ক্যালিফোর্নিয়া, ইউএসএ থেকে ডক্টর সালমা খান। ডক্টর সালমা খান, আপনাকে ধন্যবাদ আজকের এই আলোচনা সঞ্চালনের গুরু দায়িত্ব নেওয়ার জন্য। ডক্টর সালমা খান বাংলাদেশ, ইন্ডিয়া, জাপান এবং আমেরিকায় শিক্ষকতা। উনি বর্তমানে লোমা লিন্ডা ইউনিভার্সিটি স্কুল অফ মেডিসিন, ক্যালিফোর্নিয়া, ইউএসএ তে অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট রিসার্চ প্রফেসর হিসেবে কর্মরত আছেন। এর ডাক্তারির পাশাপাশি ওনার গাইনোকোলজি, অনকোলজিতে, মলিকুলার জেনেটিক্সে ওনার পিএইচডি ডিগ্রি আছে। ডক্টর সালমা খান, Zoom is yours to run this show for tonight.
Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone. Assalamu alaikum. সবাই এসেছেন আজকে আমাদের এই অনুষ্ঠানে। আমি প্রথমে ধন্যবাদ জানাবো ডক্টর মুনির and also Dr. Rumi Ahmed Khan, who is the main initiator. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest of honor today, Dr. Halida Hanum Akhtar, MCPS, MPH, DRPH, and Professor M.A. Faiz, PhD, FCPS, and Professor Imran bin Yusuf, FCPS, FRCPE. They are our guest of honor today. Tarpore ami introduce korbo. Now I would like to introduce our keynote speaker of today's meeting, Dr. Rumi Ahmed Khan, who is an associate professor, UCF College of Medicine, Orlando, Florida. He is the editor of Health Sciences and Scientific Bangladesh Journal. And he is the main, because of him, I'm here today. So without further ado, you all know Dr. Rumi Ahmed Khan. I would like to listen to your speech. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Rumi Ahmed Khan. Thank you.
It's mute. You have to unmute it.
সবাইকে শুভ সকাল, শুভ সন্ধ্যা যে যেখানে আছেন। This is Rumi Ahmed Khan. I am a product of Bangladesh. I went to Chennai College. and I'm currently a practicing physician and medical education specialist in this country for last 30 years. I have been involved in the field of pulmonary and critical care medicine. Today, I will try to initiate a discussion about our contribution to medical science, what Bangladesh contributed to the healthcare research, the research of all kind of biological science and disease-specific conditions. How much is the role? And that is the main topic. But again, as I mentioned, it is a work in progress. This is the first of its kind of thought. There have not much of a publication, paper, or monograph of Bangladesh's collective achievements, bringing all the healthcare science department together in one umbrella. The work in progress also in a different form. I'll not be the sole keynote speaker. It's a sole keynote speaker. I'll be more of an introductory framework speaker. I'll do a short introductory speech. And the speech will be followed by a panelists and our invited guests speeches. Collectively, it will be the whole keynote speech. Collectively, that's my plan to make it a keynote speech. Me, the initiating introductory framework, followed by our panelists and guests of honors, their contribution. Combinedly, this will be our finished product. It will be recorded. It will be recorded as a document for future, but it will be live streamed for many audience outside of the Zoom platform. So, as Dr. Rumi Ahmed alluded to, Scientific Bangladesh has been here for more than 10, 11 years, and it is magnum opus, has been the annual ranking of our publishers, scientific publications. And this year was a special year for Scientific Bangladesh annual ranking publication. This is the first year Bangladesh-based publication has crossed 10,000 publications a year milestone. First time in our history, since the 50 years of on the 50th year, very appropriately so, we have crossed 10,000 papers per year milestone in first time in history, 2021, 50th year of our birth. So that is that is what we have done, a basic overarching scientific grand round a couple of months ago. It was not healthcare sector limited. It was a much bigger platform, physics, science, all considered. This presentation was keynoted by two professors of physics. Physics professor Professor Salim Nakib and Dr. Professor Rahana Shamslam, both Cambridge trained physics professor at Russian University. We have been very selective. We have been very careful in who represent us, Scientific Bangladesh, as well as our science community. We have been extra careful to make sure that our researchers in Bangladesh are 50% female women. We make sure that we give due representation of men and women. Number two, we wanted to be outside of Dhaka based. We wanted to be so we have been a diverse and representative body. So today is our part 2 of the talk, healthcare related, and based on Scopus database. Scopus is the it is the largest ever database we have in system that is abstract citation database, peer-reviewed literature, scientific journal, books on conference proceedings. It is delivered in a comprehensive overview of world research output in the field of science, particularly medical science, social science. And Scopus has been our So we have chosen scope compared to other field based on multiple other factors. So as we move on to our presentation, we'll talk about first quantity of our productions, and as well as at some point we'll discuss the quality of a production. First, let's focus on the quantity. How did we do quantitatively? Numbers of production. We just said we have first in 50th year of our courtesy to Dr. Rumi Ahmed. He indexed, then Professor Rahana Shamslam, as well as Professor Shahid Hassan Nakib. I took these slides from him. They did the analysis, they prepared the graphs. So these are with due courtesy, Professor Saleh Nakib, Professor of Physics at University, and Professor Rahana Shamslam, Professor of Physics at University. They have helped us create this slide and all the comparative graphs. This is our annual publication, 71 to 2001. You can see very enlightening, very illuminating database, very illuminating picture. Let's move on to, but let's compare how we did compared to our neighbors, our peers, some comparable countries. Before we compare, let's discuss a little bit more about our publication. Who are our publishers? Who is at the forefront of our publication? Who is at the forefront of our research database? Overall, the highest publishing author has been Professor Dr. Firdausi Qadri for ICT Arabic. She's being female. That says that how is not a male-female or showing the world of quality production. Dr. Firdausi Qadri of ICT Arabic, they have the highest papers, not only number, but quality-wise, she has the papers in the topmost medical publication in the world. She is the top publisher in our country. This is Professor Firdausi Qadri, ICT Arabic, and she is listed as the top 100 Asian scientist. She won multiple awards. I have no space. Annual Scientific Grand Prize. Then she got Raymond Magsaysay Award last year. This is her. This is nice. So if we have one name, I represent this name in our main speech. Dr. Arman Rahman will do more in his speech, in his part within a short time. So let's go back to our comparison discussion. How we compare to our neighbors. This is our data. This is Bangladesh. 2021, we have reached 10,000 year point. This is how we compare to our neighbors. This is us. This is India. India is a humongous country, big country. We are not comparable in any way. This is India's publication growth. And this is a publication from Malaysia and from Pakistan. So you see that our neighbors are growing equally or if not faster speed than us. That's one part. Let's go on, move on further. This is publication per crore population. If you put the numbers of publication per base population number, this is the data. Then the gap between India, Bangladesh, Pakistan become much less. And you can see that Pakistan is growing in a faster rate India, but it doesn't matter or mean much that Professor Nakib said in his presentation that India already has such a high number of publication so high in their level. When you already a big number, the growth becomes slow compared to people, places where numbers are slow, the growth can be higher. So this is the publication per crore population in different neighboring countries. But the picture is totally different if we add on a fourth country in the foray, add a fourth country, they add on Malaysia. If you add on Malaysia publication per crore population, you can see Malaysia is way up compared to three of us. So Malaysia is investing in the science research, and that is being seen. That is in a glaring display here in this slide. Very glaring display in this slide. In Malaysia's investment in science research are paying off. So one more slide about our quantity. This is a specific H index, a citation index in the table. You can see different countries, publication: China, Japan, India, South Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore. One index I follow, H index. H index is the index that says the value of the papers coming out of the specific place. If you look at the H index thing, we are still at the bottom of all the countries. We may have having 10,000 marks numbers, but in terms of the impact, collective global big picture impact, we are not causing as much impact as China did. Japan has the best impact papers. Japan. India's impact is good. We are at 225 H index. So that is something we need to keep in our mind, and we'll discuss further caveats or further twist to the story in a future slides. But also this is number trajectory. This is the trajectory as the slide and analyzed by Professor Nakib. This is the trajectory of India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. Pakistan has the probably highest trajectory. India is already a big number. India already big number. So India already is there. A big body is slow to move. Bangladesh is not going as fast in trajectory as Pakistan is moving. So one more slide here. It matters the quality of paper we are publishing, where our publications are going to. This is the Scopus index again. Scopus index again for our paper published in different papers. You can see only one publication that mattered in citation is when we publish Lancet. Every year our citation is going up. We publish in Bangladesh Medical Journal, Bangladesh Journal of Botany, Bangladesh MSc Journal, +1. The +1 going up slightly, but our publication Lancet, that is mattering. That really matters. Our publications in Lancet. We have data. I don't have time to show, but we have data how many papers are going to other papers, how many papers are going to local papers. So this is our quantity discussion. It may be a little depressing, maybe a little disappointing, but as we go on to our quality talk, there is a whole defined perspective, is a whole defined picture we have. We are not doing that bad as we might have shown in terms of quantity-wise. In last 50 years, Bangladesh may be a country of poor means. We have been a country, a poverty-ridden country, new country, a newborn country. We don't have enough funding for every sector. At different index of life, quality of life, city, air pollution, everything we have been at the bottom, probably except for cricket. We have not been at the top of world ranking in anything in Bangladesh. Probably EPI is something here and there. But despite that index, in quality of our medical research, in our contribution to collective global medical science achievements, we have not done that bad. We have done tremendously well compared to who we are. And our contribution to this world of medical science, world of healthcare related scientific advancement, we had outsized impact compared to who we are as a country, in our age, our existence, our overall poverty. We had outsized impact. And this outsized impact has been made possible for only one reason, only one institution in the country had, that ICTDRB. ICTDRB is the vital driving force that made the change, that made it happen. ICTDRB is established in 1960 as the Seattle Collar Research Laboratory. In 1978, it became International Center of Diarrheal Disease Research. Nowadays, it's only known as ICTDRB. And there's a paper came out in 2008 that says 18% of population in Bangladesh come from ICTDRB. That may be it defined in the last 10 years. And if we start our quality of our contribution, I have to start with our contribution to the development of oral rehydration therapy. There's a Bengali man, Hemanto Mukherjee, who first thought the idea of the oral therapy in cholera. He's a Bengali man. Hemant Mukherjee's papers was seen by this 26-year-old first-year medical resident from USA, David Nolin. So he wanted to work on Hemant Mukherjee's work, and he came to East Pakistan to do the research. And that is his paper, Dr. Nareen, Rafiqul Islam, Mujid Mullah, and others. First paper published in Lancet in 1968. This is the paper. And that is the beginning of a story. UNICEF, in his official publication, made this statement: no other single medical breakthrough in the 20th century has had the potential to prevent so many deaths over such a short period of time and at so little cost. It's a UNICEF statement. This is a Lancet paper, potentially the most important medical advance of this century. Lancet, 1978 paper. This is Mark Carpenter is the USAID assistant director. He's a much global. It is a big thing. He's a whole global perspective. He's dealing with every single disease process, every single country, every single funding. This is what Mark Carpenter wrote in the Clim Journal, that ORS is the most important medical advance of 20th century. It is affordable and client-oriented, a true appropriate technology. It is what it. In the year 2000, the Independent newspaper of UK put a list of top medical contribution of the last 150 years, that the existence of independent newspaper. They polled all the scientists, physicians, and healthcare administrators in UK. In their poll, they listed top 10 greatest invention of last 150 years. At their list, you see that number 10, number 9, number 8, X-ray, number 7, anesthesia development, number 6, penicillin environment, number 5, the NHS, the UK's national health system, number 4, test tube babies, number 3, aspirin. Whereas number 2, the topmost invention in last 150 years, number 1, oral pill. So ORS stayed number 2, the topmost invention in last 150 according to the independent newspapers poll and data among top UK scientific groups. So ORS is there. That puts us way in the map of the world. We are the place where this thing has been invented, mostly by our scientists. Then move on to next disease process, cholera. This thing named Cholera Laboratory So far, what have been done in terms of cholera in science, medical science? Probably a majority of the thing came out of our part of the country, our part of the world. First thing, choleras, their genetics, their microbacterial etiology, the microbacterial identification, the different strains are identified, discovered in this part of the world, the country. Then cholera's treatment, cholera therapy treatment, especially antibiotics. In 1967, us, this Bangladesh, East Pakistan have been working on the cholera therapy since like before my birth, 1967, and step up. We are seeing more and more paper, more and more developments, all great, but all Lancet papers, Lancet papers coming out of cholera treatment. This NHM paper published a few years ago. Dr. Wasif Ali Khan was one of the authors. He's there today. So this Lancet paper. So this whatever happened, discoveries in cholera and treatment came out of this our country. And again, one other point to make here: in science, nothing happens overnight. We are doing great cholera investment, but that happened over last 50 years. First paper 1967. You can see that it is a long, protracted process. Science doesn't happen overnight. Same thing, cholera vaccine. First paper came 1965, field trial is Pakistan. 1963, field trial. Paper was done is 1965. Then second paper, 1968. Then a major NEJM paper, 2016. Dr. Ferdowsi Qadri's seminal paper on cholera vaccine. Unbelievable eye-popping invention, eye-popping discovery that we made here by a mainly Bangladeshi scientist, the first author. We are not a contract, we are not menial laborers for this work. You see the names, Bangladeshi scientists, their thought, their brain, their hard work, their innovations. It's not we are just the lab rat for them. No, this is how we have been performing in terms of major discovery. Today, we see COVID vaccine discovered in America or German. The cholera vaccine discovered here in our neck of the wood in Bangladesh. This is again the point. Nothing happened one night. 1963 and 2016-18. That's how it takes to make a good invention. Again, not only cholera, other enteric disease vaccine science that has been Ferdowsi Qadri and her team are leading it across the globe, across the world. Lancet paper. That we are the one who are at the forefront of fight against enteric diseases. Let's move on to other disease conditions. There is a thing when I was treating patients as a trainee in this country, just with the trainee, I was faced with a patient with multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. Well, my professor told me, okay, give him the Bangladesh regimen. I said, what is Bangladesh regimen? Then I found that there's a thing called the Bangladesh regimen in treatment of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. That's the most standard, still the most effective, cost-effective treatment of multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. This Bangladesh regimen, this two publications, Lancet and this publication of Blue Journal and NEJM, New England Journal. This is then where they have shown how to treat in a short duration, cost-effective people with tuberculosis who are resistant to rifampicin, and other major TB drugs. This is the Bangladesh regimen. It's still the most effective drug. We have seen whatever studies we have done. Dr. Malay Bita will talk more about it. Zinc supplementation in many disease processes, especially in children. All the data came out from Bangladesh. These are all it's high impact papers in Lancet, JAMA. And other miscellaneous factors like the treatment of bacterial meningitis in children, 5 per 10 days with ceftriaxone, Lancet paper. A physician a few years ago discovered this bubble, very cheap, cost-effective, positive airway pressure ventilation for children with severe pneumonia with hypoxemia. Very cheap, very easily easily created, easily to be made bubble PEEP system. Dr. Chesty made it for acidity therapy hospitals. Then also Professor Dr. Sams Arifin's paper on effect of cord cleansing with chlorhexidine on neonatal mortality in rural Bangladesh. So these are the papers that are practice-changing papers. Whatever is done in Bangladesh, our scientists are followed, are adapted by rest of the world. That's called quality work. We're creating practice-changing development, innovation in this small neck of the corner, a poor country. Arsenic, environmental health. Dr. Farooq Parvez will talk about it today more. This is a science paper. When science publishes something on a certain field, that is the trailblazing development. That is what the new scientific innovation. Two major science papers on arsenic, groundwater arsenic in Bangladesh by our own scientists, So it's a great groundbreaking innovation in arsenic environmental health. So this is how we are leading. We are part of the leader. We're part of the forefront in arsenic mitigation research. Some JAMA papers on prenatal health, prenatal macronutrient and early pregnancy, food supplement, and effect of other prenatal issue. A major JAMA paper are meticulously followed throughout Africa, throughout world. This is what are the impactful, globally impactful publication came out of our part of the world. Dr. Nazmul Hadar will talk more about it. Zoonotic spread, spillover research. We are now in the middle of a pandemic. And these pandemics happen by spillover, cross-species transmission. This is a paper at the Proceedings of National Academy of Science, a top-notch journal. You see the names here. The names here, they are the who's who. They are everyone. They're everyone in globe. They're the top 15, 20 people who are the top 1 to 20 in global spillover research. Peter Daszak of EcoHealth Alliance, Dr. Ann Lipkin of Columbia, Jonathan Epstein of EcoHealth Alliance, Ariful Islam from EcoHealth Alliance. So these are the people, everyone who's who. And this is the Bangladesh-based bad spillover paper. And look at this thing. Who did edit the paper? Who edited the PNS? They call a specific editor to edit big part of paper. Who? Dr. Anthony Fauci. He edited this paper when in early 2020, when just before the pandemic started. So Dr. Fauci did the editorial paper, and this is Bangladesh paper, probably one of the topmost paper of last 2 years in zoonotic transmission. Is all based on Bangladesh data. So then came this one of the days, I suddenly came to news in the evening news. Then every news outlet, I'm hearing the name of Bangladesh suddenly. Why Bangladesh is being told in every news outlet that CNN, NBC, ABC, in everywhere, first page, first news, I hear the name Bangladesh. What? That day, there is the publication of the data of the Bangladesh mask study. Massive study everywhere, every news outlet, NPR, CNN, and NBC News. This was the news of the day of the week in healthcare science journals, the Bangladesh a mass study. And even it was such an important study, the Washington Post, the New York Times, two top newspapers in the country, they invited the authors to write even op-eds on the study. So this is the Bangladesh mass study published in Science. The senior author is who? Ahmed Mushfiq Mubarak. He is a Dhaka University economics graduate. Mushfiq is supposed to be here, but he is not here at this point. This is the most impactful global contribution in this COVID time, COVID prevention. There have been a lot of controversy, political back and forth going on regarding mass mandate, mass effectiveness. This is the first time Bangladesh-based scientists, led by some US Ivy League school scientists like Yale, Harvard, Berkeley, and Stanford, they have done study that showed decisively that mass can be promoted in rural community settings, and mass use it decreases the COVID infection. Since the paper came out, I have been part of different meetings. The top US policymaker, think tank people, their question, if Bangladesh can do such a study, why USA or Europe could not do it? That is the question I have heard asked multiple times over the following 1 or 2 month period. This is one of the biggest scientific achievement, scientific study we have shown in COVID. Probably it is one of the, it will be in the top 5 our scientific achievement against COVID after the vaccine, after the steroid, and after certain monoclonal antibody, within top 5 of this science paper of mass effectiveness in COVID infection mitigation prevention. So I'll not go long. We have to be in time, but Bangladesh, being a small country, being a new country, being an impoverished country, our performance, our contribution to the healthcare science is really quantitatively not, but qualitatively outsized to our existence. We have a disproportionately higher contribution to the world of medical science. We are global leader in certain field, enteric disease field, cholera field, diabetes research field, in spillover genetic research field, in arsenic mitigation field. We are global leaders. Yeah, we're global leaders. So this cholera, diarrheal disease, ORS, zinc supplement, arsenic mitigation, Nipah zoonosis, prenatal macronutrients, MDR-TV, all disease-specific research, we have made practice-changing contribution to the world. And still, again, this is my presentation, work in progress. I'll hear from our panelists and guests, and collectively, this is our keynote speaker. I am the introducer, but our keynote speech will continue via our other presenters. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I will now give the stage back to Professor Salma Khan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rumi Ahmed. You have given an overview very nicely, where many of us did not know about it. So we are blessed to know all this information. And now we have time for a panel discussion. Our discussants and panelists are, I would like to introduce Dr. Laila Anjuman Banu, who is Professor of Genetics and Molecular Biology and Chairman in the Department of Anatomy at Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib Medical University. I please welcome Dr. Banu. And then we have Dr. Wasif Ali Khan, Senior Physician Scientist, ICDDRB, Dr. Mohammad Farooq Parvez. Mohammad Farooq Parvez, he has done MS, then MPH and PhD, now working as a research scientist, Mailman School of Public Health, Columbia University, USA. Then we have Shaheenul Alam, Professor of Gastroenterology and Hepatology, BS MMU, and Dr. Arman Rahman, Translational Research and Engagement of Manager for Precision Oncology, Ireland, Assistant Professor, University College of Dublin, Ireland. And we have Dr. Malaikanti Pridha, is a professor of the BRAC, James P. Grant School of Public Health of BRAC University, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Then we have Dr. Nazmul Haidar, PhD. Nazmul Haidar is a veterinarian and epidemiologist and a public health researcher working as a postdoctoral researcher at Royal Veterinary College, University of London, UK. So we welcome, and Dr. Rumi Ahmed Khan will, also help us, lead the session as well. So Dr. Banu, would you start? You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Sama Khan. I have just enjoyed the presentation done by Dr. Rumi Ahmed. It's actually a reflection of our research from this land. We find that there are various strategic research was done and discovers all the areas, though the health sector, especially academic institute like Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib Medical University and other tertiary hospitals, and there are though a less number of publications are there, but well known academicians and researchers are there, but due to some, actually I do not know, these are not nourished by the other, or the culture of this academic or health sector is that we did a lot, but we do not publish. We are in the infancy in that stage, but the health sector, actually the many global awards, disease are Pfizer is here. We know that there are a number of awards come with the achievement of the health sector, and I feel that one time our ex-diseaser, professor of pharmacology, died due to COVID. He did a lot in terms of academics, but the research sector was not nourished till now, though our prime minister or the health sector now actually trying to establish a research culture, research environment in our country. At my institute, as Professor Arman visited a few days here with our Honorable Vice Chancellor, and Dr. Arman was given by honorary faculty position at our university. And in hand with him, a group of people, young especially, come forward to actually trying to provide numerous translational research from basic research to the personalized medicine. These are not only in theoretical aspects of this. Actually, we recently BSMMU sequenced more than 12, that is 1,200 of whole corona genome sequence. It was not possible earlier. As from Rumi's presentation, I have observed that on the ICDDR and some of the researchers outside did such type of quality research, but BSMMU come forward and they take initiative. I think this is one form of enlightenment that this academic and research university actually will flourish soon. And from, I have established under the funding of World Bank a laboratory that is solely, there is a huge service related laboratory facilities are here at BSMU, but there is few in the original research laboratory. And Shahinul also know that I have a advanced genetic lab where we only done basic research. From this research, we got very important and interesting information like cancer, new type of variant for our population, not only polymorphism, but disease causing variants are there. But due to lack of some bioinformatics or molecular type of analysis, we did, we do not go much of the high impact publication. In this context, I would like to appeal, come forward to help us for the purpose of skill in this molecular research. And in my lab, we now are actually done BRCA analysis for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and several cardiomyopathy related hypertension, cardiomyopathy, arrhythmia research with the collaboration of other scientists in that. So in short, I will actually conclude that though we are hugely involved in our curriculum academic purpose, but till date, at the 8th March that International Women's Day, the research of Bangladesh, especially, a huge number of female scientists or female medical professionals are there in the, if the country, if our government nourishes this type of manpower, then these days are not far where Bangladesh will achieve a development in the field of research. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Dr. Banu. It was, we can always, work together. So I have been working in Loma Linda University, do lots of research work, and I love to publish. And we have hundreds of young physicians who are interested to work on a project so that we can publish. And we have been doing it since a couple of years, and we are publishing a lot, so we can help on that. So next, I would like to call Dr. Arman Rahman. He is a translational research and engagement manager for Precision Oncology Ireland. Dr. Rahman, please say something.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Salma Khan. I would like to share my screen and show you a couple of the slides that I prepared for you. First of all, thank you all for inviting me. And I think it's a great initiative. So we should actually know our background so that we can go forward based on that, based on concrete information. Bangladesh actually has a great potential, but you will see that there's a great disparity between epidemiological research and laboratory-based research. So actually that was what Professor Laila Banu was trying to say, that this part, that if we put some focus on it. So before I go detail into it, let me share you my slides. And few of the slides actually, it might seem redundant because Rumi Bhai has mentioned a few of the papers already, but I'll just quickly show you what I have, all right?
Can you share your screen?
Yes, I can.
I think Rumi, okay, thank you.
Can you see this?
Yes.
All right, great. So I'm going to be very quick here. So let me just show you a few of the papers that I found that was like game changer coming from Bangladesh. And if you see the dates, it was like pioneering studies. So the first thing, actually, what Rumi Bhai was mentioning, that these coming from ICDDRB, the papers on cholera and the diarrheal, the vaccine. Actually, the vaccine was the Dukoral that was developed in Sweden. So the first clinical trial actually was done in Bangladesh. So you see that this was a Lancet paper that came out in 1986, and then I thought that this is another game-changing paper. Actually, I remember when I was doing my MPH in Sweden a long time ago, 1996, they used to give a reference of this paper left and right, because this, you know, there is a tendency in many parts of the world. It's called sun preference. So the original work actually was done in Bangladesh, and this was the study. Another one is the immunization study that came out from Bangladesh. It was at that time considered to be a major groundbreaking study. So the third one here on this slide, this dot delivery for the management of tuberculosis, this is a phenomenal work actually, and in many parts of the world, they actually you know, follow. I think Rumi was mentioning one of these about this tuberculosis work. So you know that when you talk about the laboratory-based research coming out of Bangladesh, there is a heavy lift from Bangladesh. That is our Kadriapa. I had the pleasure actually to work with Kadriapa a long time ago in a collaborative project. I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later on. But Kadriapa's papers, many of these papers actually were published on high impact factor journals. And then we have other heavy hitters from Bangladesh as well. Interestingly, these names actually don't come that often, that you know, that we all know. Interestingly, there was a Lancet, the entire Lancet, the journal actually was dedicated on Bangladesh in 2013. And many of this paper actually here on this journal, there were all authors actually were from Bangladesh. So this is a fantastic thing to see and to have a kind of a record of Bangladesh's scientific work. Dr. Shah M. Farooq, phenomenal. I mean, his publication track, I mean, I was really jealous to see that work done in Bangladesh, that you can do that. And then again, this another Bangladeshi scientist, Dr. Sirajul Islam, he has done some pioneering work in bacteriology, and I think that he was based in ICDDRB as well. So we have actually, you know, even laboratory-based research in Bangladesh is you know, it's not an easy thing to pull out. But I see that from ICDDRB now that, you know, other institutes are coming forward. Professor Laila Banu's work, I'm sure in the coming days, this would be one that we're trying to kind of reach. We are trying to be at par with the epidemiological work that is done in Bangladesh. So I think that if we can do that, that would be a phenomenal thing. So, you know, I was asked to kind of talk about how the Bangladeshi people who are outside, how we can do this. So I've just prepared some outline here to show you that the diaspora people, I'm just not lecturing, I've done it myself. So I have done it a long time ago with Kadriapa, and now I'm doing it with Professor Laila Banu. So this can be done. See that I'm here in Europe, I'm in Ireland, I'm in Dublin, but I'm trying to do something with Bangladesh. So I think that there are two ways of doing this. One thing is that if we permanently go back to Bangladesh, we have done say 10, 20 years of work in America or Europe or wherever, and then this model actually is Indian or Chinese model, because what they have done, they have invited the established researchers in many other countries, and they have given them lab, they have given them position. So the idea was to attract them and to make their base in those countries. So this is a very kind of it's not a secret program, but you wouldn't hear it advertising left and right. So there are a lot of Indian and Chinese researchers who have gone back home under this scheme. So that is one way of doing that. Another way of doing this is that the way I'm trying to do is that I'm here, I'm maintaining my job, I'm very busy here, but at the same time, I have found somebody like Laila to work with, So it's just simply transfer of knowledge, transfer of ideas, then we work together. So these are the things that I thought I would share with you. Identify potential research partners in Bangladesh, like Professor Lalavan. Develop a research program aiming to perform experiments in Bangladesh. You will notice that many of us, actually, people like me, when we collaborate with Bangladesh, it means that we do the work in Europe or America, but maybe we take the patient sample or we take whatever, so that actually wouldn't help Bangladesh much. Yeah, they would get their name in the paper, but what I'm proposing is to do the work in Bangladesh, help them to develop the infrastructure as the way we have here. And another thing is to help them to develop the skilled manpower, because to get people who have laboratory skills in Bangladesh is not that easy, as I'm sure that many of you know. So to train them in this field, bring them here, train them and send them back. So, this all in a collaborative study. Secure international grants aiming to spend the money in Bangladesh. Laboratory research, as you know, is a very expensive kind of undertaking. So if we don't have money, nobody is gonna, you wouldn't be able to do anything actually. So money is the first thing, but that can be secured with your colleagues, collaborator who are not in Bangladesh, who are outside, but you develop the program as such that you would spend the entire bulk of the money in Bangladesh. So how you do that? You would buy your reagents from Bangladesh. So there'd be a culture that, these reagents, you don't have to wait for an antibody to come from Singapore or America or wherever. There should be a stock in Bangladesh. Equipment, all the equipments that you need, now how we are dependent on India and Singapore on this if you want to do anything. If this thing flares up, there will be local agent who would be, anyway, so this is another way. Equipment research is a major thing if you talk about infrastructure development. And then aim high, not to do research only for the sake of publishing papers in low-ranking journal. Yeah, I mean, this is good, but this wouldn't help Bangladesh in the long run. So I think that people like me who are, working outside for many years, if we want to help out really Bangladeshi research, then going after the development of infrastructure would be the main thing to do. So I'll just finish there and stop sharing and get back to you, Dr. Salman. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Rahman. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Wasif Ali Khan, Senior Physician Scientist, ICD Derby. Dr. Wasif Ali Khan, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Salma Khan, for giving me the floor. First, I'd like to congratulate Rumi, first of all, for inviting me and for your illuminate, brilliant keynote speech in the last 50 years of healthcare research from Bangladesh. Actually, you have really helped me in many ways because you have covered a lot of part of what I was thinking of giving from ICD-DRB, and that was good. But still, there are a few things that I would like to highlight. As we talk about the ORS, when you mentioned, and being you are in North America, you must have heard about the name of Gatorade, the sports drink that is been invented by University of Florida. It was back in October 2nd, 1965, a team of scientists, they invented Gatorade, and it was summer of 65 when the University of Florida assistant footballer who was talking with scientists that he found that players are getting a negative effect by heat. So that was basically loss of salt, fluid. And at the same time, when the concept of ORS was also going on here in Bangladesh by the NIH scientists, it was told later on by Robert Glass, who was the head of Fogarty in NIH. And as we know that being University of Florida, actually, they could patent that drink. And we know that I was just looking in the Google search that in 2015, the royalty for the group that invented Gatorade, as well as some of their family members and friends, had eclipsed $1 billion. So you can see that as you do research, you have to think in a bigger way how you can patent it, which ICDB never thought at that time, Color Research Laboratory, because we are always looking for fund. But that if ORS could have been patented, we would have enough funding for doing other research work. So just to give you an example, that this is also something that we have to think right now. Now, talking about, you mentioned Dr. Kadri a couple of times, I just want to add that we all have heard that in 2017 August, there was an influx of this forcefully replaced Rohingya Myanmar nations. And it was in August that Dr. Kadri, the then executive director, Dr. Clemens, they all immediately approached to WHO, Gavi, government of Bangladesh, to start vaccinating those people. And there was 4 rounds of vaccination that had been covered. And you'll be amazed to know that there was no cholera outbreak in that area, and because of this thing. So that was a remarkable thing that has been done by this group. And for the first time in 62 years of ICTDB, we have the first time a Bangladeshi scientist who is the executive director, Dr. Rumi Ahmed. This is, I must mention that how we are changing over. It's my 3rd decade, 30 years in ICTDB, but I can see when I joined, there were a lot of expatriates, especially North American professors who were the young, who just finished the fellowship, came here. They did a lot of publications work, and then all have been placed in a very high position in USA. So, but now it's changing. Now the local Bangladeshis are taking up, and we are bringing the funding. In fact, our, I would say last year it was about 80 million. That was the overall budget, almost 60, almost I would say that 75% are by the researchers who are bringing the fund to the institution. The core fund is very limited. So that clearly indicates the research, the Bangladeshis are really expanding their capacity. Just to add a few other things that what we have done from a maternal and neonatal tetanus elimination. In 1980, scientists found that newborn of mothers who received a tetanus toxoid vaccine before pregnancy, there is a 75% protection from neonatal tetanus. And as a result, WHO and UNICEF and their partners have immunized more than 154 million women in 53 countries. This is an example of the global impact that we have done. Then there was a severe malnutrition management that was also been done by ICDB that reduced 50% mortality. This case management WHO has accepted, which was published by Lancet. The another important work that we did was influenza vaccine significantly reduced illness in infant and mortality. This was also done by ICDB, and subsequently WHO has recommended maternal immunization during pregnancy with flu vaccines. And I'm sure in the later part today, Dr. Halida Hanam Akhtar will sure mention about the Bangladesh contribution in reproductive health research in the global. But here I just want to add that ICTB has done a remarkable work back in 1977. This maternal child health and family planning intervention began in Matlab, Chandpur, one of the oldest health and demographic surveillance system in the South, where we have the 4th generation now that has been followed up, scaled up by the government of Bangladesh. It resulted in a remarkable drop of fertility, 6.3 in 1975 to 2.1 in 2016. So these are the few things that I really wanted to highlight about what we have done. But more important is how we look forward, because that is the important part. This is what I want to touch in the next few minutes. As we look back past decade, Bangladesh is progressing in several sectors, meaning we are now transitioning from to create a high-scale job. We are in the transition from low-wage, labor-intensive activities like ready-made manufacturing garment industries into a higher-wage, knowledge-based industries. And we know that these upscale knowledge-based industries can impact in wealth building and human development of any nation. Coming to the health sector, there is a need and interface between the academician, researchers, and the industries to develop the capacity. So to address this, I would like to highlight that Bangladeshi pharmaceuticals and medical research need to work together. For example, we have seen in this COVID last 2.5 years how Oxford developed the vaccine and the AstraZeneca came up for marketing and things like that. Similarly, in the messenger RNA, BioNTech did and Pfizer came up. In Bangladesh, actually, it has got some advantage because being a least developed country, due to this TRIP agreement, we have been able to produce the generic medicine soon after innovators get approved from regulators like FDA or UKMHR, which take 10 to 12 years. However, once Bangladesh graduates from least developed country to lower middle income country, as we are expecting by 2016, this WTO waiver will no longer be existing. So local farmers have to wait until the patent period is over. Thus, it is the time that from now on the local pharmaceutical needs to develop their own R&D Otherwise, the cost of the medicine will be enormously high and not be affordable by many people. So we have to develop our capacity and work closely with the pharmaceutical sectors. Keeping that in mind, ICDB is working closely with local pharmaceuticals and trying to bring global experts into this field. For instance, I'll give some few examples. We are really thinking to develop preclinical facilities that includes non-human primates. You may like doing on rhesus, cynomolgus, long-tailed crab-eating monkeys, breeding and do those research. ICD does have an animal facility, but it's a small scale. Mainly we do with mice, rat, rabbit, guinea pig, but we want to go and expand. And we are already in an MOU with the world within the top 3 preclinical company who are interested to invest in Bangladesh. Our scientists are now moving more on the phase 1 trials. For example, one of our colleagues is working on Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a monoclonal antibody C1a complement path inhibitor developed by a biotech company in Annexon Bioscience in San Francisco. And you will be astonished if you come next time in Bangladesh. Rumi, you should go to the NINS, National Institute of Neurological Science, where Professor Din Mohammed is leading that. They have built a clinical trial unit set up and excellent. Now they have expanded to Dhaka Medical College Hospital. Back in 2014, I did one study on calcinuria drug inhibitor voclosporin in a phase 2 trial, which ultimately last year got FDA approved for the first time in lupus nephritis, which you know, an irreversible kidney damage that happens. And here I like to add one comment that was made by the then Vice President of this Orunia Pharmaceutical, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He made this comment that we have reached Bangladesh not for cheap labor, financially compromised and poor patient pool, or constant health infrastructure, but for the experienced and knowledgeable clinicians and keen interest on clinical trials. So this clearly indicates they are interested. So we have to come forward, and we are thinking in that way how we can involve the other public and private institutions within the country. Last year, I was involved with the monoclonal antibody, C5a complement pathway in progressive severe COVID-19. And this is now in the CFDA, Chinese FDA, under emergency use authorization process is ongoing. So these are the few things that I really want to emphasize. And as I heard from my previous presenters, like Dr. Laila Banu, she mentioned that they want to have collaboration. In fact, we are from ICDB, we have been working with Professor Atik when he was in rheumatology, recently has retired. There, Mahtab Mamoon, Shopnil, his nickname is, he is the chairman of hepatobiliary. We have been working with a professor at the McGill University on epigenetics, how to diagnose early liver cancer things. So initially we are doing it in Hong Kong because this new generation sequence is not available. But ultimate plan is, if this finding is if we find the results very encouraging, the plan is to bring those machineries and technology to local and train our local people. So these are the few things. This is how we are trying to focus in the coming days, how we can work within ICDB and to collaborate with the local institution. With that, I'd like to finish my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Khan, and for your wonderful presentation. Also, you know, we can build here in this venue the collaboration between different institutes. That's what we look for. And now I would like to call upon Dr. Mohammad Farooq Pervez, who is the research scientist, Mailman School of Public Health, Columbia University, USA. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, everyone. But unfortunately, my video isn't working. This is a new laptop and I'm having a lot of difficulties. But nevertheless, Rumi, thank you very much for inviting, especially because I see my mentor, Dr. Halida Hanoum, and Appa, you have not changed last 25 plus years that I have worked, that the chance of working with you in summer of 1995 when I was doing my MPH at Yale. But I must say that whatever I learned from the book, but whatever I do in the field, my guru is Dr. Halida Hanoum, and thank you for teaching me and feeding me during that period of time. So as so yeah, so I must start, as Rumi said, I'm going to talk about a little bit on the environmental health research in Bangladesh. Yes, I primarily work on arsenic and some air pollution issues in Bangladesh, but mainly on arsenic. I was just trying to mimic some of the things that Rumi showed on research then on Scopus, but unfortunately, Appa didn't teach me to how to do research on Scopus. She taught me how to do research in the field, do data analysis and design. So, but with my very limited knowledge, I will start with some of the numbers. I just, when I typed in the Scopus Bangladesh and arsenic, I found more than 2,000 papers. I understand the Scopus includes both health and non-health, and even in the name appearing in some papers, and specifically because we use PubMed most of the times, I found almost 1,200 papers, and I know that for sure that even only from my group, that Columbia University of Chicago group that we were working in Bangladesh starting in 2000, we published almost 300 papers. And a lot of the papers were published by our colleagues in Bangladesh. For example, Dr. Kazimatin Ahmed, and many others, first author, lead authors on arsenic and arsenic mitigation work in Bangladesh. In addition to that, when I was trying to search work on the air pollution, it was only about 400 papers. So obviously it's a very huge problem in Bangladesh, but needs to be addressed. So in terms of what kind of change and what impact we made, let's focus very simply that what do you mean in terms of impact. Simply, if we talk about the number of papers that we published in high impact journals, of course we did. We published in Nature, we published in Lancet, we published in BMJ, and of course we published in American Journal of Respiratory and Clinical Care Medicine. And Rumi must be aware of that. That's called Blue Journal for Respiratory Medicine, and top journal in the respiratory medicine. So I'm sorry. So number of papers, at least 4 or 5 of our papers that were highly publicized in international media. For example, New York Times, LA Times, and BBC, CNN, and that were highlighted, and people are interviewed in terms of that, where we showed for the first time that arsenic exposure, at least in low-level arsenic exposure from, let's say, 10 micrograms to 50 micrograms are associated with cardiovascular disease, cognitive development or impairment in children, lung function, and of course, all-cause mortality. So this is simple. I would say simple impact that in the academic world, but the main aim should be what kind of impact this science was made in terms of people real life. So we took our present. We used to do at least before the COVID time, every year in seminar in Bangladesh with all our partners and collaborators, journalists, with for example, BMRC, Ministries of Health, other ministries, and these seminars were attended by 100, 200, 300 people, and to present our work and whether our work can make some policy changes. The policymakers used to attend, and all our partners in Bangladesh could attend. And that I think that made some change, because at least we're able to reduce arsenic exposure in our study population. That is 40,000 right now, about 40,000 to 45,000 participants in mostly in Arihazar and some other parts of Bangladesh. We were successful reduce arsenic exposure because we have been working there for last 20 plus years, and we don't see as many arsenic patients as right now. And not only that, we also collect samples from participants from 2 to 3 years time, like blood and urine samples, water samples, and we see that the exposure level is coming down. So that sort of impact we try to make, but we are just very little. It needs more people like us. And we have been constantly collaborating with ICDDRB. In fact, I myself has 3 projects that I'm working with Dr. Kadriapar's group, Dr. Rubana and Dr. Yunus and a few other people. And BSMEU, NIPSAM, North-South University, Dhaka University had been our very, very long collaborators. And we worked with BRAC and, of course, Atomic Energy Commission in Bangladesh. So this is all good, but one thing, when Rumi was showing that lots of publication came from ICDDRB, it's very good, but I take that as with a grain of salt, because ICDDRB has a environment built that enables somebody, especially young scientists, to write papers. But unfortunately, not all the institution has that kind of luxury, I would say, to do that. So Dr. Halida, when I was working with her, I saw that she encouraged people to write papers, and should write the papers. Writing papers is never 9 to 5 work. You have to work in the evening. I don't write any paper within my office hour. It's always in the evening. So, and I see when I work with all these institutions, BSMEU and other institutions I mentioned, people has tremendous amount of potential to do work. And in fact, they do a lot of work. But for some reason, we're really nervous to write. So somehow this gap has to be minimized. To see this nervousness or this mindset that is hard to write. We have to come out of it, and I don't know how to do that. Senior investigators, my senior colleagues, those who can do that. And second, give them some opportunity and time to write and train to write, because all these institutions have like top. I would say that BSME have the people and scientists, and I go there every time I go to Bangladesh, 5-6 times a year. They're the top scientists. They're the top clinicians. They went top medical schools. So obviously they can do much better than that. But I think somehow that mindset has to come, and some resource should be allocated and give the people to write and to express themselves. And I think I'm maybe off by a minute or so. But thank you once again for giving me this tremendous opportunity to meet all of you and talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pervez. Now I would like to request Dr. Shahinul Alam, Professor of Gastroenterology and Hepatology, BSMMU. I would like to request all the panelists to keep your speech within 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Salma Khan. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Thanks to Scientific Bangladesh to allow me to this very wonderful session and the encouraging lecture by Dr. Rumi Ahmed Khan. As we are working as clinician in our country, we are under heavy pressure of patient in our office and in private practice also. We have, as there is heavy shortage of workforce in our country, those who are working in the clinical side, it is very difficult to bring out the time for research and even for the study. If you want to do the research or even we want to do the study in our office, we have to leave our office room or to close the door from behind. Even after that, the clinical research is increasing in our country, at least in quantity, of course, and sometimes it is also with quality. The clinical research has been publishing in almost all the publishing houses, including the Willis, Elsevier, Nature's, even in Lancet, PLOS ONE, BMJ, all these are increasing. And the clinical research is ongoing. For further improvement in the clinical research, all the public institute in our country should have to make a policy and environment, and all the faculties will have to encounter the KPI that should include the research performance. And then after that, I think that the clinical research will be increased and quality also will be increased. There are 5 medical universities and other public institutions as BCPS, BMRC, and other autonomous and private institutes also, those who are conducting the research. The insurance for insurance of the quality, the Institutional Review Board and the governing authority should take care of that. The institutes are running the postgraduate course, including the fellowship and doctorate degree and master degree. The thesis will have to complete for the completion of these degrees. So if the quality of this research is ensured in this course, and then I think that the clinical research will be also, quality will be improved. In the other part, the present status of our research is increasing in quantity. I hope that there are huge number of young medical scientists, those who are very much interested in the clinical research. Those who are there, these people are working in the clinical side, but they're interested in the research also. I think if they have got the proper environment in future, Bangladesh will lead in the clinical research. And those who are all the faculties in this webinar or in this Zoom meeting, I think future collaboration between these people and other scientists of the country in home and abroad, those originating from Bangladesh, if we can collaborate, I think the scientific clinical research will be increased. Bangladesh is the area, I think, where the research is very easy, because most of the patients are very, very obedient, and they usually they obey our word and our command. If we ask them to be included in the clinical research or any trial, most of the patients agree with us. I think that in future the clinical research will be increased, and hope that all the collaboration will increase the clinical research in quantity and quality. Thank you all.
Oh, wonderful. Dr. Shahin, I would like to also mention Dr. Alam is the Scopus highest published author in BSM from BSMMU. So we thank you very much for your contribution, and we'd like to help you because we have some young physician in the US like from Bangladesh who are waiting for the residency program. They love to work on the clinical project or case report, and we're training them how to do that. And so if you need help in the future, we would love to incorporate those young physicians. Thank you, Dr. Alam. And now I would like to request our next speaker, Dr. Mala Kanti Mridha, who is a professor of the BRAC James P. Grant School of Public Health, BRAC University, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Dr. Mridha.
Can I share my screen?
Sure, you can do so. You can do so, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. As we are all from Bangladesh, so I'll speak in Bangla. I think that is probably more convenient for all of us. So Rumi bhai, I have already Rumi bhai একটু আগে আসলে আমার যে টপিকটা নিয়ে কথা বলার ছিল, রবি ভাই, ওয়াসিফ ভাই তারা অনেক কিছুই বলেছেন। তো আমি সেজন্য অনেকগুলো স্টাডিজ আর কি এখান থেকে বাদ দিয়ে দিয়েছি। আমি কয়েকটা স্টাডিজ নিয়ে কথা বলবো বা কিছু ফাইন্ডিংস নিয়ে। একটা হচ্ছে যে আমরা সবাই জানি যে বাচ্চারা যখন খর্বকায় হয় তখন তাদের যে গাট মাইক্রোবায়োম সেখানে একটা চেঞ্জ আসে। সেই চেঞ্জটা আসলে আইসিডিডিআর রিসার্চার্স লেড বাই তামিদ আহমেদ ওনারা প্রথমে এটা আইডেন্টিফাই করেছেন এবং কি করা যায়, যেমন ধরেন ওনারা একটা ফুড তৈরি করেছেন যেটা সয়, চিকপি, পিনাট এবং বানানা দিয়ে তৈরি, যেটাকে আসলে টেস্টও করা হয়েছে গাট মাইক্রোবায়োম ফ্রেন্ডলি থেরাপিউটিক ফুড হিসেবে। এবং এটা আসলে দেখা গেছে যে গাট মাইক্রোবায়োমে যে চেঞ্জ গুলো আসে সেটাকে, সেই চেঞ্জ গুলোকে আবার রিস্টোর করে এবং হেলদি মাইক্রোবায়োম নিয়ে আসে। and it has a huge potential in future. আরেকটা স্টাডি যেটা আমরা জানি যে বাংলাদেশে হয়েছে লিপিড বেস নিউট্রিয়েন্ট সাপ্লিমেন্টস নিয়ে, বা স্মল কোয়ান্টিটি লিপিড বেস নিউট্রিয়েন্ট সাপ্লিমেন্টস, এবং সেখানে বাংলাদেশে যে স্টাডিটা হয়েছে সেটা ইউনিক এই সেন্সে যে আমরা সবাই প্রথম 1000 দিন, যেটা একটা শিশুর জন্য খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ, যে কনসেপশন টু ফার্স্ট 2 years of life, তো সেই সময় যদি নিউট্রিয়েন্ট সাপ্লিমেন্টস দেয়া হয় তাহলে একটা শিশুর নিউবর্ন স্টান্টিং প্রিভেন্ট হয় কিনা, তার গ্রোথ কিভাবে হয়, ডেভেলপমেন্ট কিভাবে হয়, বোথ মোটর অ্যান্ড কগনিটিভ ডেভেলপমেন্ট, এর পাশাপাশি তার অ্যানিমিয়া প্রিভেন্টেড হয় কিনা, সেগুলো নিয়ে কাজ করা হয়েছে। এবং আপনারা জানেন যে বেসড অন দিস রিসার্চ অ্যান্ড সাম আদার রিসার্চ, there have been 3 meta-analyses published in American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, and based on those findings, 2011 is a Lancet Child Nutrition series to প্রকাশিত হয়েছে, সেখানে lipid based nutrient supplementation কে one of the 10 recommended child nutrition interventions হিসেবে ইনক্লুড করা হয়েছে। এর মধ্যে যে রং দিন নিউট্রিশন স্টাডিটা সেটা বাংলাদেশে হয়েছে। আমরা জানি জীবিকা জনস হপকিন্স এর একটা ইনিশিয়েটিভ আছে বাংলাদেশে, ওখানে বাংলাদেশ থেকে অনেক সায়েন্টিস্টরা কাজ করেন, এবং এই ইনিশিয়েটিভটার অনেক অবদান আছে বাংলাদেশে। একটা অবদান হচ্ছে যে নিউনেটাল মর্টালিটি প্রিভেনশনের জন্য ভিটামিন এ এর রোলটাকে নিয়ে আসা, বের করা সেটা। আইসিডিডিআরবির আর একটা বড় অবদান আছে অ্যাকিউট ম্যালনিউট্রিশন ম্যানেজমেন্টের ব্যাপারে। আমরা সবাই জানি যে অ্যাকিউট ম্যালনিউট্রিশন ম্যানেজমেন্টের জন্য WHO রিকমেন্ডেড, এবং সিভিয়ার অ্যাকিউট ম্যালনিউট্রিশনের জন্য ম্যানেজমেন্টের জন্য WHO রিকমেন্ডেড যে ফর্মুলা আছে, পাশাপাশি আইসিডিডিআরবি নিজস্ব ফর্মুলাও আছে এবং নিজস্ব ট্রিটমেন্ট অ্যাপ্রোচ আছে, যেটা আইসিডিআরবি আসলে পৃথিবীর অনেক দেশের পার্টিসিপেন্টকে শিখিয়েছেন সিভিয়ার অ্যাকিউট ম্যালনিউট্রিশন কিভাবে ম্যানেজ করতে হয় চিলড্রেনদের মধ্যে। আইসিডিডিআরবি ইন্টিগ্রেট ম্যানেজমেন্ট অফ চাইল্ডহুড ইলনেস বা IMCR ইভালুয়েট করেছে। এর পাশাপাশি একটা কথা না বললেই নয় যে আমরা যখন রিসার্চকে প্রায়োরিটাইজ করি তখন যে প্রায়োরিটাইজেশন প্রসেস, যেটা এখন গ্লোবালি অনেকেই ফলো করে থাকেন, সেটা চাইল্ড হেলথ রিসার্চ নিউট্রিশন রিসার্চ ইনিশিয়েটিভ বা চিনরি থেকে প্রথমে প্রপোজ করা হয়, এবং সেই চিনরিটাও কিন্তু বেসড ছিল এক সময় আইসিডিডিআরবিতে, যদিও এটা এখন WHO তে বেসড। আমি আরেকটু সময় নিব, সেটা হচ্ছে যে আসলে শাহিন ভাই কিছু কথা অলরেডি বলেছেন যে বাংলাদেশে কি করা উচিত। একটা জিনিস হচ্ছে যে আমরা আসলে কমপ্লেসেন্ট হওয়ার কিছু নেই, বিকজ আমরা যদি এভাবে তাকাই যে ভিয়েতনামের দিকে, যে 2010-এও কিন্তু বা 15-এও ভিয়েতনাম ওয়াজ বিহাইন্ড আস, কিন্তু এখন কিন্তু ভিয়েতনাম রিসার্চ পাবলিকেশন অ্যান্ড ইম্প্যাক্ট দিয়ে আমাদের থেকে এগিয়ে গেছে। তো এরকম অনেকগুলো দেশের সাথে একটা সময় আমাদের থেকে পিছিয়ে ছিল, এখন এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে। সুতরাং মানে অ্যাটলিস্ট আমাদের কমপ্লেসেন্ট হওয়ার কিছু নাই, এবং সে কারণেই আমাদের দেশে যেটা প্রয়োজন একটা হচ্ছে যে সায়েন্স বেসড ডিসিশন মেকিং, এবং ডিসিশন মেকিং এর যে সায়েন্স বেসড অ্যাপ্রোচ, সেটা আমি মনে করি আমরা দিন দিন হারিয়ে ফেলছি। সেটাকে ফিরিয়ে নিয়ে আসতে হবে। পাশাপাশি যে আমাদের ন্যাশনাল রিসার্চ প্রায়োরিটাইজেশন, সেটা এবং সেটা রিলেটেড যে ন্যাশনাল ফান্ডিং, মানে আমরা একটা সময় মিডল ইনকাম কান্ট্রি থেকে আস্তে আস্তে হাই ইনকাম কান্ট্রি থেকে, তখন কিন্তু আমাদের ন্যাশনাল রিসার্চ ফান্ডিংটাকে বাড়াতে হবে। কিন্তু কিভাবে বাড়াবো? দ্বিতীয়ত আমাদের ন্যাশনাল রিসার্চ প্রায়োরিটাইজেশনটাকেও করতে হবে। আমাদের কোনো হিউম্যান রিসার্চ প্ল্যান নেই হেলথ রিসার্চের জন্য, সেটাও করা দরকার। আমাদের রিসার্চ এনভায়রনমেন্টটাকে ইমপ্রুভ করা, বিশেষ করে এডুকেশনাল ইনস্টিটিউটস গুলো কিভাবে করা যেতে পারে, শাহিন ভাই একটু আগে কিছু কথা বলেছেন, কিন্তু এখানে আসলে আমাদের স্পেসিফিক স্ট্র্যাটেজি নেওয়া দরকার। আমাদের যেটুকু রিসার্চ ফান্ডিং আছে সেখানে আসলে কোনো অ্যাকাউন্টেবিলিটি, ট্রান্সপারেন্সি, এটার বড়ই অভাব। এটা নিয়ে আমি বিস্তারিত বলতে চাই না, কিন্তু সেই ট্রান্সপারেন্সি অ্যান্ড অ্যাকাউন্টেবিলিটি নিয়ে আসতে হবে। সেখানে বাংলাদেশ মেডিকেল রিসার্চ কাউন্সিল, সেটার গভর্নিং বডি, তারাও ভূমিকা রাখতে পারে। রিসার্চ ইনস্টিটিউট গুলোর মধ্যে কোলাবোরেশনের অভাব আছে, সেটাও আমরা নিয়ে আসতে পারি। আমাদের দেশে আসলে কোনো ওয়ার্ল্ড ক্লাস জার্নাল নেই। যদি আমি বলি যে আমাদের দেশে এই মুহূর্তে হেলথ জার্নাল হিসেবে 2টা পাবমেড ইন্ডেক্স জার্নাল আছে, সেটা আসলে সেই জার্নালগুলোরও মান খুবই পুয়ার। তো আসলে আমাদের জার্নাল থাকতে হবে। রিসার্চ কমিউনিকেশনের জন্য যে এনভায়রনমেন্ট, কোনো এভিনিউ, সেগুলোও নেই। কনফারেন্স গুলো নিয়মিত হয় না, সেমিনার, সিম্পোজিয়াম, সেগুলোতেও যে ইয়াং রিসার্চাররা প্রেজেন্ট করবে সেরকম কোনো স্কোপও করে দেওয়া হয় না। ইনফ্যাক্ট বাংলাদেশে কোনো ইয়াং রিসার্চারদের প্রেজেন্ট করার জন্য কোনো ভালো জায়গাই নেই। তো সেটাও করা দরকার। পাশাপাশি রিসার্চারদের প্রোফাইলটাকে রেজ করার জন্য কোনো রিওয়ার্ড সিস্টেম, রিকগনিশন, ইনসেনটিভস, এগুলোরও আমাদের অনেক বড় অভাব আছে। যেমন ধরেন ইন্ডিয়ায় কিন্তু শান্তিস্বরূপ ভটনগর যে অ্যাওয়ার্ড আছে, সেরকম অ্যাওয়ার্ড বাংলাদেশে, ওখানে 6টা সায়েন্সের 6টা ডিসিপ্লিনে দেওয়া হয়, সেটা বাংলাদেশে চালু করা যেতে পারে। এমনকি শ্রীলঙ্কায় প্রথম 100টা পাবলিশ পেপার, টপ 100 পেপার প্রতি বছর কিন্তু সেগুলোকে প্রেসিডেন্সিয়াল অ্যাওয়ার্ড দেওয়া হয়। সেরকম কোনো কিছু আমাদের দেশে কিন্তু নেই। আমাদের দেশে পাবলিক প্রাইভেট পার্টনারশিপ ফর রিসার্চ সেরকম কিছু নেই। এবং ন্যাশনাল রিসার্চ রিপোজিটরি, যেটা বাংলাদেশ একাডেমি অফ সায়েন্স সেখানে একটা লিড ভূমিকা রাখতে পারে এবং সেখান থেকে ন্যাশনাল রিসার্চ রিপোজিটরি করা দরকার, সেই জিনিসগুলো আমাদের করা দরকার। তো আমি আসলে এখানেই শেষ করতে চাই, সম্ভবত 5 মিনিটের চেয়ে বেশি সময় নিয়ে নিয়েছি। সবাইকে অশেষ ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you, Dr. Mridha, for your detailing of the problems and how we can, solve that. All right, so I would like to call upon our next speaker, of the panel. So Dr. Nazmul Haidar, he's a veterinarian and he's a public health researcher working as a postdoctoral researcher at the Royal Veterinary College, University of London. Dr. Haidar.
Hi, can you see my screen?
No, I think you are sharing wrong screen. You are sharing wrong screen. You need to share the right screen.
Okay, I have to stop it now. Sorry.
You need to share the slides screen. This is still.
Is it there?
Yeah, it is the right screen. Yeah.
Oh no. So can you see the screen now?
You can see it now, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. Thank you, Dr. Salma Khan and Rumi Bhai for this great initiative. And also thanks, Dr. Monir, for these initiatives. I'll be discussing about the global contribution of genetic disease research from Bangladesh. Just to clarify about the definition of zoonosis, it is a disease of any infection that is naturally transmissible from vertebrate animals to humans. And this, according to this definition, there are around 2.5 billion human cases per year and 2.7 million deaths, mostly because of the gastrointestinal zoonotic infection like parasitic infections and others, and then leptospira, zoonotic TB, rabies, and cysticercosis. So this is the global background. And if we go to Bangladesh and you see what is the key research that Bangladesh has contributed in last 50 years, and one of them is Nipah virus. If you go Google Scholar and search with the term Nipah virus, you will see there are at least 17,000 articles where Nipah virus was mentioned. And if you add the term Bangladesh and Nipah virus, there will be at least 3,800 articles where both terms was mentioned. So you can see globally, whatever knowledge generated on Nipah virus, Bangladesh contributed at least 1/4 or more than that. And many of you have seen this movie called Contagion. It was inspired from the epidemiological characteristics of Nipah virus. And actually, the story was inspired by outbreak that occurred in 2004 in Bangladesh, which was picked by a pro-med mail from scanning of the English newspapers. And then the writer of this movie actually visited Bangladesh. And if you haven't seen this movie, actually you haven't missed anything, because you have seen COVID-19 pandemic. Everything shown in these movies is we have seen in real life in COVID-19 pandemic. So you haven't missed. But if you have seen the movies, you have seen the sequelae in COVID-19. So as I mentioned, Bangladesh has done a lot of research on Nipah virus, and you can see the key epidemiological characteristics like the basic reproduction rate, which is below 1, much below 1, and the case fatality rate is very high, more than 70%, actually is based on the findings from the research that was conducted in Bangladesh, mostly in ICDDRB. And one of the key parameters of any disease to stop the chain of transmission is understanding their transmission route. And ICDDRB and Bangladesh has done this work tremendously well. And this image you are seeing here is an infrared camera image of capturing how bats are impairing this dead farm Jews at night. So this image was taken by Dr. Salahuddin Khan, and he and his team has identified the route of transmission of bats from bats to the dead from Jews, and then Jews to humans. And also subsequent studies led by Dr. Stephen Filubi, Emily Gurley, Dr. Jahangir Hussain, Dr. Sajjad Shobon, and Saiful Islam invented those subsequent route of transmission, like limited human to human transmission, nosocomial transmission, and also this one, the rare transmission through drinking traditional liquors. You can see also 3 images, those who have contributed a lot on animal side of Nipah virus, like John Epstein, Peter Deszak, and Dr. Ariful Islam from Equality Alliance. They have contributed on sequencing the virus, identifying the route of transmission of the virus from bats, and also the seasonality of Nipah virus transmission, and also identifying the hotspot in Bangladesh. Then I think this is also another great contribution from Bangladesh by answering how many viruses are there awaiting for discovering. So again, EcoHealth, ICDDRB, and Columbia University collaborated this study, and they have collected pterophos bat samples from different locations of Bangladesh between 2006 and 2010. And by testing those samples, they discovered 55 new viruses, and they used statistical and mathematical models and found that at least 300,000 viruses are still awaiting for discovery. So this was published in 2013, and we got at least one more virus after that, that is SARS coronavirus 2, but good luck for the rest of the virus still awaiting to be discovered. Anthrax is another area where Bangladesh has contributed a lot. You can see this article published in 1948 from eastern part of the Pakistan at that time. And then you can see this article published in 1986 by Professor Abdus Samad, who is still working as a professor of veterinary medicine in Bangladesh Agriculture University. And the most recent publication from ICDDRB, I was part of this investigation and this publication, and we have shown that cutaneous anthrax is actually the most common one in the field outbreaks, and inhalation anthrax or pulmonary anthrax is not common because it needs the spore and laboratory development. So it's not practically happening in Bangladesh and most part of the world. So bioterrorism is not like a regular part of transmission that occurs in field. Going to rabies. This is there was a publication in 2006 based on infectious disease hospital reports and infectious disease hospital in Dhaka and other district hospitals that predicted, or they estimated that around 2,000 cases they are recorded in Bangladesh each year. And you can understand that 2,000 cases means 2,000 deaths. If you feel that in the context of COVID-19, to die 2,000 people, you have to have more than 200,000 cases. So rabies is that fatal. But good thing is that Bangladesh started mass dog vaccination from 2010, and number of cases are declining. And this is a good publication published in scientific reports showing the impact of One Health research, like doing giving the intervention in animals and reducing the human cases. And this study is also getting a lot of citation in international journals. Another important findings is the geographical expansion of Ebola virus in Bangladesh. This is also another contribution from EcoHealth Alliance and ICDDRB. Ebola virus, and the same Ebola virus that caused the epidemic in West Africa in 2012 and 2014, same Ebola gyre and restaurant virus was detected in this part of Bangladesh. So I'm working in Sierra Leone now, and we know from there, before 2014, when the epidemic occurred, the virus was detected in 1978 by Soviet Union, a group of researchers from Soviet Union, and also in 1986, the virus was also detected by Ugandan research. So it means that the virus can circulate in animals silently for long years before it causes an epidemic. So Bangladesh could be a hotspot for future. Then avian influenza virus, because of its potential to cause a pandemic around identified the strain or the virus that is the potential candidate for vaccines. And Bangladesh provided at least one sample for their candidate pools, and which is preserved in CDC now. So I will discuss some other zoonosis that has been reported in animals, but there is no human cases now yet. One of them is MERS coronavirus. It was detected in the camels that was reared during Eid al-Adha. So we have that this study also led by EcoHealth Alliance. They detected MERS coronavirus among the camels sold in Eid al-Adha market. Then Coxiella burnetii is also detected in cattle and goats in Bangladesh. In surrounding countries, Coxiella burnetii, that is Q fever related cardiac valvular stenosis was detected, but no human case reported in Bangladesh. And then you can see West Nile virus is also detected in wild birds in Bangladesh. And then hepatitis E virus, we have seen a lot of hepatitis E virus case in humans in Bangladesh, but zoonotic hepatitis virus is not detected in humans. There are four genotypes of hepatitis E virus, type 1, 2, 3, 4, both. All of them cause human diseases, but 1 and 2 is only restricted to humans. 3 and 4 cause zoonotic diseases. So there is no reported human cases in human genomics.
Please try to wrap up, please. Okay? We are out of time. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll now finish. Yeah, rotavirus was also there.
Yes, thank you.
Final remark, I'll say from Bangladesh, we had on Nipah virus and anthrax, and rabies and foodborne illness are the key zoonosis from Bangladesh. But for future epidemics, we should consider MERS, Ebola, and Nipah virus. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Haidar. So we are now in the next part of our, last part of our presentation. Our guest honor will be presenting in last 30 minutes. And after that, we may have an open Q&A session that will be optional for everyone. So I'll request Dr. Salma Khan to introduce Dr. Khalida Hanum Akhtar to initiate her presentation. Dr. Salma Khan.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to introduce Dr. Khalida Hanum Akhtar, who is our guest of honor today. And so I would like to request you to stay with 10 minutes. Dr. Akhtar, please, come forward, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I would like to share a screen and have my slides.
You can do it up. You can do it, or if the share screen at the bottom. Yeah.
Right.
We are seeing it now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to thank Dr. Rumi for inviting me in this August seminar and meeting so many important people. As you can see from the topic, he gave me a very large topic: contribution of Bangladesh in reproductive health research, what NGOs are doing now for overall healthcare research, and then what they can do more to improve impactful medical research. This topic itself is a big research by itself. So I'm just trying to do as much justice to the topic that he requested for. Can I change my, sure, I think I should be able to. Oops. Right.
Yeah, we see it, you are changing it, yeah.
Yeah, so let me quickly do that, because I'm an advocate of reproductive health. And as I can see that in very quickly a definition of reproductive health, but I do not want to read the whole thing. Let me do the view, because I have not done the view. I don't know. Yes. Right. If this photo can be changed.
It's in your control, you can click it, yeah.
Yeah, I can control, but I'm just, right. But I see the picture here. I did not see among the others, that's why, because I see three pictures. If that could be removed, or I don't know if it is mine only. Right, okay. So when we look at reproductive health, initially it's the WHO definition of health, but then when we talk about reproductive health, it implies that the people are able to have a satisfying and safe sex life, and that they have the capacity to reproduce and freedom to do this, when and how often to do so. Implicit in this last condition is the right of men and women to be informed and to have access to safe, effective, affordable, and acceptable method of family planning of their choice, as well as other method of their choice for regulation of fertility, which are not against the law, and the right of access to appropriate healthcare services that will enable women to go safely through pregnancy, childbirth, and provide couples with the best chance of having healthy infant. The reason I wanted to share, that if you look at this, this diagram, this is done by WHO after the ICPD conference, Cairo in 1994. And if you look at the spectrum of reproductive health, starting from adolescents and pre-adolescents to elderly, you will see that so many aspects of the reproductive health illness are part of the whole thing. And if we are thinking of the research in all these areas, it covers a very large aspect of research by itself. So what I have done very quickly is not cover all the aspects, because that will itself take a long time. What I have done, some of the issues, if you probably have heard that BRAC has taken an initiative of 50 years of achievement since independence in the health sector. And chapter 15 looked at the research in health. And they have covered some of these areas, and I just wanted to share that with you. They looked at the institutional capacity development in health research, engagement of public and private universities in health research, engagement of public and private medical colleges in health research, and then research capacity in response to public health emergencies. Some of these have already been covered. National health research governance, research output compared to the neighboring countries, and challenges and way forward in research capacity. I have taken this slide also from that chapter 15 where they did this review. And just to share that I myself is an author of the reproductive health chapter, which is chapter 14, but we have not covered all the research. So I'm just sharing with the group here that if you look at the research number of peer-reviewed publications done by various types of research organizations and also the institutions, and you can see that when we look at NIPSAM has larger number as compared to IEDCR, and then BIDS itself is kind of a developmental studies, but more research oriented. NIPORT has done quite a bit, but not so much. BBS, it comes less than NIPORT, and also College of Physicians and Surgeons. If we look at the other type, other institutions, I mean, we have talked about ICDDRB, and ICDDRB has the highest number, and because it is a research type of organization, yes, services are there, but I think more emphasis has been given on research, and it's a scientific organization. BRAC has done, and then Diabetic Association and others. And if you look at the comparative condition of the publications published in PubMed by these organizations during 2014 to 2020. This slide also shows that the areas which has been focused, researchers have focused. And if you look at from the left to right, the dengue fever, the pneumonia, diarrheal disease, non-communicable disease, malnutrition, communicable disease, and maternal child health. And I'm so happy to see the highest column of the maternal child health research that is going on in Bangladesh, and accomplishment has been done much. This is also by, if you look at the names, these are more or less quite mature universities, like University of Dhaka, ICDDRB at the bottom, maybe the comparison bar. And then look at the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib University, University of Rajshahi, then BRAC University, Jahangirnagar University, and others. And you can look at the number of publications in the peer review, and that gives a comparison, comparative status of these institutions, mostly universities, and with ICDDRB. This is, I have taken from one of my slides. The reason I have taken this one, because as I'm talking about reproductive health and we talk about abortion and some of the topics that are not much exclusively done in Bangladesh, although I have done with WHO funding a long time ago. Sushila Singh, which is Alan Guttmacher Institute, they do these studies, and we use the data from these studies. They do it in Bangladesh in collaboration with Bangladeshi institutions. So Hussein is from BAPSA, Bangladesh Septic Abortion Institution. So they have done Bangladesh Association for Septic Abortion, and they do it, and also an import. And if you look at that the data from these studies are cited whenever we make presentations on unwanted pregnancies, on abortion, on MR, these type of things. Also, it is very important to look at the gender-based violence. And when we talk about these data on gender-based violence is the major source is Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics. And if you look at this slide, this compares the difference between 2015 BBS and 2011 BBS. And for presenting, for advocacy and other purposes, these data are extremely useful, and the source is Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics. For the sake of just sharing with you that when we look at the gender-based violence and the life cycle approach of gender-based violence, it happens from pre-birth stage of a woman to the elderly. And it's a wide range of research opportunity and research expertise that is needed to do that. And when I was doing this one, I reviewed, and I just wanted to show you with the highlights that these researches are not exclusively Bangladesh research, and you will see that many other country collaboration with Bangladeshi researchers. And I think that's so important, as Molloy and others were saying, that there should be a good opportunity of collaboration between Bangladeshi institutions, Bangladeshi researchers, and the global researchers who are in the same field. Excuse me. This I took because I was for 17 years, I was founder director of BARPART, is Bangladesh Institute of Research on Essential and Reproductive Health and Technologies. And I founded that under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare as a quasi-government organization. And this was written by the team who did the chapter on the research. And I'm going to read this in Bangla. I did not translate. Bangladesh Institute of Research for Promotion of Essential and Reproductive Health BARPART দেশে প্রজনন স্বাস্থ্য নিয়ে গবেষণা করা প্রথম দিককার প্রতিষ্ঠানের মধ্যে অন্যতম। 1976 সালে এই প্রতিষ্ঠানটি বাংলাদেশ ফার্টিলিটি রিসার্চ প্রোগ্রাম বা বিএফআরপি নামে প্রতিষ্ঠানটি যাত্রা শুরু করে। পরবর্তীতে বারপাট নামে প্রতিষ্ঠানটি 1991 সাল থেকে জন্ম নিয়ন্ত্রণ পদ্ধতি, মাতৃস্বাস্থ্য, শিশু স্বাস্থ্য, প্রজনন স্বাস্থ্য সেবা, প্রযুক্তি, বন্ধ্যাত্বের কারণ ও কিশোরী স্বাস্থ্য নিয়ে গবেষণা করে আসছে। 1992 থেকে 98 সালের মধ্যে এই প্রতিষ্ঠান অনেকগুলো ক্লিনিক্যাল ট্রায়াল, অপারেশনাল রিসার্চ, ইভালুয়েশন টাইপ অফ রিসার্চ, এপিডেমিওলজিক্যাল রিসার্চ পরিচালনা করেছে সরকারের টেকনিক্যাল অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্স প্রজেক্ট প্রপোজালের আওতায়। ওই সময়ের মধ্যে বারপাট অনেকগুলো নতুন জন্ম নিরোধক পদ্ধতি নিয়েও গবেষণা করে। বারপাটের গবেষণার ফলাফলের ভিত্তিতে সরকার পরিবার পরিকল্পনা কার্যক্রমে দ্বিতীয় প্রজন্মের জন্ম নিয়ন্ত্রণ পদ্ধতি নর প্লান্ট ও ল্যাপারোস্কোপি অন্তর্ভুক্ত করে। নিজেদের গবেষণা সক্ষমতা বৃদ্ধিতে স্বল্পমেয়াদী ও দীর্ঘমেয়াদী বিভিন্ন প্রশিক্ষণ কর্মসূচি হাতে নিয়েছিল এই প্রতিষ্ঠানটা। দেশে বিদেশে বিভিন্ন কনফারেন্স, সেমিনার, কর্মশালায় কর্মীদের অংশগ্রহণের সুযোগ সৃষ্টি করা ছাড়াও বিভিন্ন আন্তর্জাতিক প্রতিষ্ঠান থেকে স্নাতকোত্তর অধ্যয়নের বৃত্তি প্রদান করেছে এই প্রতিষ্ঠানটি। এছাড়া বিভিন্ন দেশি বিদেশি সংগঠনের সঙ্গে কারিগরি দক্ষতা বিনিময় করেছে এবং অনেকগুলো ফেলোশিপ দেওয়া হয়েছে এবং অনেক ধরনের ডিসিপ্লিনের লোকজনকে এখানে আনা হয়েছে। আমি এটা আর পড়লাম না। লাস্ট যেটা বলেছে যে প্রজনন স্বাস্থ্য নিয়ে গবেষণায় প্রতিষ্ঠানটির অর্জন প্রশংসনীয়। তো এটা একটা ইনস্টিটিউশন, পরে যেহেতু কোয়াসি গভর্নমেন্ট অর্গানাইজেশন ছিল, it has been given to the government এবং গভর্নমেন্ট এটাকে রান করছে, বাট নট টু দ্য এক্সটেন্ট যেটা রান করা উচিত উইথ এ রিসার্চ ব্রেইন অর এ রিসার্চ ডিরেক্টর। আমি পপুলেশন কাউন্সিলের কথা একটু বলতে চাচ্ছি যে পপুলেশন কাউন্সিল is another organization that is doing and has done enormous number of research which constitute in the field of public health, biomedicine, social science. It is working extensively in evidence-based policy making on maternal child health, reproductive health, adolescent health, gender-based violence, and involving both government and non-government stakeholders in the field of HIV/AIDS and using biomedical sciences. So Population Council is another organization which is working quite a bit in the field of reproductive health. Way forward, I'm not reflecting much, but Molloy has touched upon important aspects. But I think what is important is definitely we have accomplished a lot in last 50 years, but we have a long way to go. what we see that there is a need for greater investment in research by supporting academic and research institutions. When you look at the clinical institutions, as well as the students are there who are doing post-graduation, they do it for the sake of thesis. And there is not much requirement that they have to do international journal quality publication. So that does not encourage them to do publication, although they do thesis. And NIPSAM is similar type of organization, you know, and the higher education in any medical college, whoever is doing the post-graduation degrees. There are some, as I've been talking about, you know, various institutes and others. And if you compare with ICDRB, they are of different nature and requirements are different. If you come to the universities, yes, for university, for your promotion, for your tenure promotion and other things, there is a requirement that you will do publications. And that's why you will see that comparatively, universities are doing more research as compared to the other types of institution. And as Molay was also saying that for younger people, and at Barpad we try to bring in younger people, teach them how to do research, give courses on research methodology. We don't see that much nowadays. That's my pain a little bit. But we should have more opportunities and options for the younger generation to be involved in research. I know that research is not that simple. It takes a rigorous process of learning and then producing. So there should be a very conducive environment, including resources, including a positive environment for the people to come and join the research field. I feel that I've not done that justice as expected, but probably I needed more time. But thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about reproductive health research. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Akhtar. Thank you, Appa, so much for your very illuminating presentation. And to be frank, after looking at your presentation, I think would have been done justice to make you the keynote speaker. You should have been done the full 1 hour talk. It is my mistake. You are the one who knows and who have been there, who have done that, and who have led from the ground. Now you are leading the world globally. So thank you very much again for leading Bangladesh, for doing what you have been done all along, and for still up and about going in full force. Thank you, Appa. Thank you so much.
I just stop
sharing. So our next guest who will give his ideas is my teacher, my former principal of Chirame College, Professor Imran bin Yunus. He is a professor of medicine and former principal. He is a former consultant and scientist at WHO and Tropical Disease Program. He's a pioneer research investigator who detected dengue, Bangladesh, and former editor of National Guideline of Clinical Management of Dengue Syndrome. And Dr. Yunus has been a pathfinder, has been a maverick among our medical education specialists in medical education, medical teaching. Professor Yunus will today shed some light what we can do on medical research perspective to improve quality medical research among our population. Okay, thank you, Professor Imran bin Yunus.
Thank you very much for inviting this August gathering of the scientists and exchanging with data and others about the publication. Okay. All right. So Rumi has invited me to talk on give some lights on the medical education dispensation here. So I'll try to give an outline what is a pitiable situation. We are all so happy with this, all this information from these papers, our situation, but if you go minutely and precisely what is going on in the name of medical education in this country, we can find out that we are in a pitiable situation and real pain. May I share the screen?
Yeah, you can share it, sir. Sure.
Okay, we know. So far, we discussed about the science. Science is a spatial knowledge, you know, and then leading to publication. But spatial is a prefix. It should. What about the knowledge? So I'd like to talk something, give lights on medical education dispensation and some somewhat thought that will provide you some partly answer to the question of the so many speakers that is linked with the research. Now let's see medical education and medical profession. What are the components and indicators of outcome? You know, the medical academia, the target is to produce safe doctors and scientists. Doctors, that means the knowledge holders, and the scientists will produce the what is called product knowledge, newer knowledge. The indicator is that satisfied patient, that is a big question, and the results are the credible publication and resource persons. How many of us, except very few from this country compared to the India or Thailand, are invited as resource persons across the border? It's very few. It has a heritage. We have to look back. Most of the guys in this country doesn't know how the medical education dispensation is developed and grown in our country. The lacunae in the heritage is that medical education dispensation established its service priority by the colonial administrator to serving the colonial plus some natives, you know, and therefore you see medical institutions should be tagged with university. It's a tertiary education. It should be with the university, but it is controlled initially in the British India by the Ministry of War and later on the Health Ministry. Till now, it is continuing. There is no self-regulation of medical institutions in our country, and until now, it is in public's, by strictly controlled by the public service rules. And therefore, I label them slave doctors by slave teachers from slave institutions. It is under direct control of the executive organ of government, and now it is aided the corporate and business houses. And you know, tertiary education is a quasi-judicial function. Therefore, except medical education, all other education has got self-regulatory principles, disciplines, rules, and regulations. And so it is a violation of the Constitution, because our Constitution declares clean-cut divide between the executive and judicial organs, but it has been compromised for medical colleges and institutions under public service rules. Today it is published in the Pratham Alo Yusak that medicale bhotti porikha shastro mantranaloye hate keno. There are 4-5 universities, medical colleges, but medical admission test is done by the ministry through DGHS and by hired people. With my daughter, medical admission, well, there was a problem. I I later went for a writ against the medical admission test 2011, and I won the rate up to the full bench of the Supreme Appellate Division, and these are the observations, very pertinent. The questions are unclear, ambiguous, wrong questions, poor English and Bangla in questions, inconsistencies and contraindication between some Bangla English questions. In some questions, answer options are vague, grammatical errors in some questions. Concerned persons should be more careful and responsible and should be punished. A national exam should not be allowed to be questionable. And these were the observation. Till now it is persisting at the wheel of the government in the whole developed world. They don't call it a medical admission test. This is called a medical college or institution selection procedure. So the very knowledge holder person, a medical graduate, when produced, you can easily understand how their knowledge, skill, and attitude status would be. So let us review today what is going on in our country. Too many medical colleges, I don't know how many number, public and private, are mushrooming, outnumber the public medical colleges. Curriculum, there are many changes, but very interesting. It is empirical and now it is unmanageable. You will find that the content of the curriculum is inconsistent with the period allotted. The selection of the students and teachers, examinations, regulatory bodies, governance. And you will find here a lot of conflict of interest. What are the issues? Plagued regulatory bodies. A public servant in the medical this is BMDC Medical Council, he will always compromise as per dictation of the executive organ of the government. He cannot override executive discretion. Conflict of interest. Sorry. Tilted balance of production versus demand of medical graduates. No networking. And most important thing, we have crushed the base of general practitioner and family medicine practitioner base. Education, research, training seriously compromised. There is budget for so many things, for a journal from a medical college. For the publication cost, we have till now run for aid from the pharmaceutical industries. No self-regulation. So quasi-judicial status is ignored. That is a violation of Constitution. And there are survival of YOLO professionalism. There are some endemic nodes. There is not a single center of professional grooming in this country, except armed forces, medical colleges. Not a single center for appropriate care, networking, user-friendly, empathic care linkage, credible research and publication. I mean, in general, not as an exception. Guidelines and self-regulations, protection of professional rituals, covenants and mandates, and most of the guys don't know them at all. Trust and social capital eroded much. Proactive evolution for evidence-based shaping and reshaping, no role of decision-making. This is the report recently. Shiksha cholche theka diye. Teachers, lacking of teachers, and you go into a public hospital in the internal medicine or other clinical wards, there is no environment for what is called students, clinical teaching or training. What is happening here? establishment of a medical college or increasing the number of students, the wish is enough. And both in public and private sector, best trading now, decreasing the regulatory needs, for feeding the private medical colleges, the qualifying marks now reduced, utilization of craze of the parents and others, window shopping teaching, that is the part-time teaching, makeup of examiners, pleasurable results. I'm sure everybody will understand what do I mean by pleasurable results, downward spiral of standard, no vision or plan, just cancerous growth. So the horrible tomorrow is too many doctors. Now there are about for pi, that is fostering yellow professionalism, slave laborer doctors. Recently I find some ads where the salary is 10K, but a driver's salary is more than 30,000, Corporations and government shall be compelling more spineless professionals, more loss of trust. And that is shown during this COVID crisis. It's found that how doctors are spineless as a front-line worker, neglected, more loss of trust, and fostering medical tourism, invasion and invitation of foreign doctors. So to change, liberation of medical education dispensation, a self-regulation is a must. There should be clean-cut roadmap, an appropriate goal. That goal is safe doctors and scientists, the quantity as per customized to the national need, the personnel, evidence-based updating of curriculum, training and others. There should be a benchmark and accreditation, collaboration, exchange, communication and connectivity, integration with mainstream education institution. It is supposed to that the medical college should be an integral faculty of an university. And so interesting thing, there is 4 universities are established without campus and without students. And that reminds me of the movie Yes Minister, or Naker Bodole Norun Pelam Taire Naire Na. That is, without just what is called administrative group, it's an university. And another university is a BSMMU. There is no undergraduate students. It is said that undergraduate education nourished at the lap of postgraduates. So with this incomplete or handicapped university, we are continuing a pitiable situation. I'm sorry. These are the pains. And this is the issue of what is called of a mourning and melting heart. How pitiable situation of us, of knowledge. So in knowledge holder and the knowledge dispensation, if the situation, then what would be the situation of the spatial knowledge of the science that is to be reflected through research and publications, credible, of course. So thank you very much. Thank you indeed.
Thank you, sir, for this rude awakening. We needed this reality check, and medical education is at the foundation pillar of any kind of medical research excellence if you want to show from this country. What our research has done, they have reached highest echelon of research despite the faulty education. But again, Thank you very much for your emphatic speech and eye-opening reality check and rude awakening. And I didn't expect any less from you, sir. Thank you. Our next and final speaker is Professor M.A. Faiz. Professor M.A. Faiz, he is one of the most respected physician educator, and physician scientist Bangladesh has ever produced. He has been my teacher from my very early days of medical school, and he, by dint of sheer integrity of his teaching, of his science, of his patient care, this person has reached the highest echelon in a medical educator, medical professional's career. Dr. Faiz has been the principal of Dhaka Medical College, and he also has been the Director General of Health Service of Bangladesh Government. Professor Faiz has been a pioneering researcher of one of the most neglected but extremely vital topic, snake bite in Bangladesh. He has been one of the international author researcher in snake bite management. So without further ado, let me invite Professor M.A. Faiz to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rumi, for your kind words. I must thank Scientific Bangladesh, particularly Dr. Rumi, Dr. Moniruddin Ahmed, and other colleagues for kindly inviting me to listen to the very important webinar today, where Dr. Rumi gave a keynote presentation, followed by very learned panelists. They gave their own viewpoints related to contribution of Bangladesh in the global arena in research, and subsequently the guests of honor, Dr. Khalida Hanum and Professor Imran bin Yunus. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those who are listening and from different places. Can I share my screen, please?
Yes, you can share your screen, sir. Yeah, you can do from your one computer.
Okay. Thank you. You know, research is not a luxury. It is an essential component of health service, healthcare. Considering the importance of research in every country, the Bangladesh government, in the very beginning, they have tried to understand that research council should be established. So it was started in as early as in 1972 by the order of the Honorable President, and subsequently the objectives, rules and regulations of the council was provided from the Ministry of Health in 1974 and then 1976. Since then, the MRC is the focal point for health research. They oversee and facilitate research to some extent. Present structure of the MRC is they have a council with 55 members from across the country, from different stakeholders, executive committee, 5 technical committees, 4 administrative committees, and very limited human resources, only 1 director and few staff. Key activities of the MRC includes promoting health research, providing training, funding research, and publications. In fact, I was one of the fortunate people to get training from BMRC on research methodology as early as in September 1982. They continue this training over several decades. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, you know, there are 2 divisions recently with several directorates. There are 31 operational plans for providing different services, and there is a sector-wide approach of service. Recently, Directorate General of Drug Administration introduced clinical protocol clearance of the clinical trials. In most of the institutes, there are institutional review boards. And most of the operational plans, they have got certain amount of money for doing operational research. For example, the current operational plan of non-communicable diseases, they have got around 2% of their budget for doing various types of operational research. Rightly, our colleagues mentioned about various theses and dissertations of medical universities, medical colleges, institutes, and Bangladesh College of Physicians and Surgeons. Of course, they are related to their completion of their degree. There are limited collaborative research within the country and as well as with abroad. Ministry of Science and Technology and University Grants Commission also provide some support for doing research. With this background, I would like to highlight that the research was not a priority in the agenda of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The medical teachers, as well as medical professionals, there are almost 40 types of medical professionals. They have got multiple responsibilities. The clinical teachers are overburdened. Really not possible to conduct research in a sustainable way in the present scenario. The environment is not very enabling. Of course, even with those situations, the faculty, some of them, they conduct research as a voluntary responsibility. There are, of course, few outliers as well. There are examples of collaborative research of global, regional, and national importance done in the government facilities by these faculty working in different medical institutes. Mostly, they work on public health interventions. Some of them has been mentioned by our learned panelists and also the guests of honor. There are certain research that's created global change of the guidelines. For example, in malaria, the research done in Bangladesh, collaborative research within other countries, they changed the guidelines for management of severe malaria from quinine to injection artesunate. For severe malaria, for management of initiation of the treatment in the community was initiated in a multiple countries, and 24.5% mortality reduction was possible by a single dose of rectal artemisinin was demonstrated by the group in Bangladesh, both severe malaria as well as pre-referral treatment. Similarly, the neurocognitive impact of severe malaria was also published in various prestigious journals like Lancet. Similarly, for Kalazer, the newer drug like miltefosine combination treatments for poisoning, for OP poisoning, the dose titration for atropine. Currently, the largest trial for OP poisoning in a 3-hour study is ongoing by Toxicology Society of Bangladesh in 4 medical institutes. I do not like to bore you by mentioning a very old problem, snake bite, where the tremendous recent scientific developments happened through Bangladesh scientists. We are very fortunate that our Bangladeshi scientists groomed from Bangladesh, those non-resident Bangladeshi medical scientists, you are contributing enormously, working in overseas as well as contributing for the human resource development in Bangladesh. I appreciate your endeavor. What we can do in future? Most of you have highlighted some of those. I like to repeat. You know, the MRC was established by the presidential order, but unfortunately yet to have an act. So we need an act with a set organigram compatible with the need of the 21st century. We need to do the institutionalization and a strengthening of the council with a defined structure, with human resource and the regional centers. Bangladesh is not a small country in terms of population, it is very big. Consideration for a Director General of Medical Research like Indian Council of Medical Research might improve the situation. And of course, the strategy that we have got, the Bangladesh Health Research Strategy 2009, updated in 2020, is for modernization of medical education and creating positions for dedicated medical teachers and medical scientists in academic institution is very crucially important as we listen to our learned colleagues. We need a broader consensus building by the different stakeholders, or having dialogue or workshop for improving medical research by different healthcare professionals, including medical doctors. We need to encourage the peer professional responsibility related to research to complete the cycle, starting from the protocol development until the publication. We seriously need involvement of non-resident Bangladeshi scientists, the team you are involved with, for effective collaboration in different aspects of this research cycle. There are many others, including improving data of different types, increasing community engagement, which is seriously needed as we listen to the different colleagues, including the informations that we missed during this COVID pandemic. With this, I would like to thank you again for kind attention, as well as for inviting me in this very important webinar. Thank you very much indeed. Over.
Thank you, Professor Anifaz. Thank you, sir, very much for your time, for your effort, and for your leadership contribution across the years, across your lifespan. And with your presentation, our formal part of the scientific seminar is over. Now, before we do the closing remark, I'll open for a few minutes for a Q&A and open question. And I will open the question with, if I don't know is the Professor Wasif Ali Khan still here or not. It's too late in the night now. I know ICDRB has done a tremendous job as a leading role in one of the nation's top research facilities. ICDRB has done great in producing research scientists and training. It is a great academic and research culture. But can we say that ICDRB has failed to disseminate this culture, has trickled down this culture across the other government and non-government institutions in Bangladesh? Professor Dr. Wasif Ali Khan, are you here to answer, or
Yes.
anybody else can answer? Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wasif Ali Khan. Yeah.
Thanks. Let me start with, and others can always pitch in. So, Rumi, you have correctly mentioned that, and this has been already alluded by others, that doctors who are of my level, even brighter than me, who went for clinical practices, they can definitely do much better research than myself, what I've been doing in ICDRB. But point is that they are overburdened with so many things, clinical management with the patients, an overload of patients. So that is why they cannot really give time. And I for the last 7-8 years, as I said, I am very much involved with non-communicable clinical trials. I have worked with Professor Atiq, who is well known in rheumatology in BSMMU. And when we did this lupus study, he was saying to me, Wasif, I wish if like what ICDRB is getting funded for different projects, if I would have such funds, I could have hired few young physicians for their career. Otherwise, what they're doing is basically they're coming for their thesis part for a couple of a year or few months and then going back. So, and they see their seniors who are always busy with practices. And unfortunately, what Professor Dr. Imran also has the trend, what I've been seeing in the last 10 or 2 decades, that apart from clinical practice, the incentive, unfortunately, the physicians getting from pharmaceutical companies and diagnostic centers, that actually diverts them from going into research into more on money-making things, which is unfortunately is very big, and there's no control on this. So these are the factors it's really hampering. And Professor Faiz has clearly mentioned, if we can address those things and change, we can do it. We have been trying, and ICDRB is always collaborating with other institutions very much. Over.
Thank you, Dr. Wasif Ali Khan. Do any other attendees have any question? Please feel free to throw it, or any comment.
I can give a very quick comment. Unfortunately, I was involved in various committees of ICDRB, and when I saw that they have, I'm talking about what time, like 87, 88, I was starting at Harvard. There were so many epidemiologists, and I said, why don't you have a research methodology course for the Bangladeshi people to make use of these skills, and they are doing research. So when I said that, they asked me, okay, Halida, you are giving research methodology course, so why don't you give here? So the first two courses actually I gave with my own two colleagues, Saifuddin and Hemayat, Yasmin. And then you can see that that has taken been forward. Nur Alam Bhai and many others. Now it is an international training course, and then people are coming from Africa and all over the world. So the reason is not to praise me, but somebody has to start somewhere and tell them that, yes, there are resources, and why don't you make resources available for Bangladeshis as well? So, you know, as Wasif Ali Khan did mention and others, that yes, we have more Bangladeshis now doing more research. I was on their ethical review committee as well, and I've seen the quality of research and the money coming from different sources. It requires a totally research environment to bring money for the research and to do good research, and one will bring the other. So just a comment. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Abba. So here, let me make a personal memory. I have been through many phases in my life, many training, many jobs. Two of my best weeks in my life is the 2 weeks I spent in 1995 in the EPIC training in ICDRB. That I was in the EPIC training course. Fakir Yasmin Appa, Nulam Bhai, they have been there. And that training kind of changed my outlook, changed my view of how I approach my career, my healthcare. I still remember who were my co-trainees. One of them person was supposed to be the MC today, Dr. Monica Beg. Monica Beg was my co-trainee. She ended up becoming the HIV and AIDS section head for WHO. Now she, because of personal illness, she retired early, should have gone way up. So this kind of trainings has done their job, have done their part. That is part I cannot take it away from ICT, of course. It's a great job done.
I have a comment.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, sir. Yeah.
Well, we reviewed the ICDRB Act, you know, and there are many sections there which are not fulfilled as per the ICDRB Act. It is a very much Bangladeshi organization established by the Bangladesh law, and therefore we need there is a need for reviewing this act and apply those sections which are not applied till now. That is important. But ICDRB is a wonderful organization, and that was supposed to lead the research, training, and others throughout the country as per the commitment to that public law. That's my comment.
Yes, thank you, sir. I remember the ICDRB was made in 1978, 77, one special parliamentary promulgation by President. Yeah, government act. Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Otherwise, we're going to close it up. Anybody else has any comment?
আমি একটু বলতে চাই, যেহেতু আমি আইসিডিবি-তে 12 বছর কাজ করেছি, ইনফ্যাক্ট মানে ইনফ্যাক্ট আইসিডিবি কারেন্ট যে ফান্ডিং মডেল, বা আমি যদি এটাকে বলি বিজনেস মডেলও বলি, এখানে আসলে তো কোনো ইনসেন্টিভ নাই যে অন্য একটা অর্গানাইজেশনের সাথে কোলাবোরেট করা, এবং বাংলাদেশি সায়েন্টিস্টদেরকে, যেমন আইসিডিবি-তে যারা কাজ করে তাদেরকে তাদের ক্যারিয়ার হেল্প করা এবং তাদের ক্যাপাসিটি স্ট্রেংথেন করার জন্য যে ইনসেন্টিভটা আছে, কিন্তু অন্য অর্গানাইজেশনের ক্যাপাসিটি স্ট্রেংথেন করাটা আমি যতদূর জানি আইসিডিবি স্ট্র্যাটেজিক প্ল্যানেও নাই, আইসিডিবির ম্যান্ডেটও না, এবং ইনফ্যাক্ট আইসিডিবি ডাজন্ট হ্যাভ এনি ইনসেন্টিভ টু ডু সো।
Okay, thank you, Malai. I think Dr. Mohammad Jamaluddin has want to comment. Jamaluddin, you raised your hand.
Yeah, thank you very much, organizing committee, especially Dr. Rumi Bhai. It's really interesting for me. I am from Shahjalan University, Department of statistics. Actually, for my observation, actually, I saw last couple of years in Bangladesh, there are two things is a lack of collaboration. For example, between university and research institution in Bangladesh. I did not see much collaboration between public university and research institution and the industry and university collaboration. So these two things, I think one of the big challenge and barrier for research in Bangladesh. So this is actually my observation because I work in the epidemiology public health area, and I have tried several times to collaborate some institution, but maybe my approach was not maybe good, but I did not see big collaboration hand from big institution, especially those who are working in the health sciences in Bangladesh, and also industry. I don't see any initiation for collaboration to the public universities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jamaluddin. I think you made a very good point. Me and Dr. Arman Rahman have been talking about this problem. A collaboration brings the issue of big institutions like BSMU, like the Badem Hospital. There, every Western or even Asian, I can now say, research academic center, they have a core facilities, the core lab, core instrument, core culture hoods, core PCR machine, core equipment, core things. In Bangladesh, this BSMU or any other organization, the core equipment, core infrastructure is missing. Let alone what right hand knows, the left doesn't know. Even right hand doesn't know what right hand doing. We are even silo. Everything silo. Department of Anatomy, Genetics has their own instrument. No other department knows what is there. They have access to it or not. This core research facilities is also one of the mitigating, one of the a factor that is preventing good collaboration and good dissemination of research. Any comment, Dr. Laila Banu or anybody else in this regard?
I have a comment regarding this, the collaboration, Do you hear me, Rumi?
Yeah, we hear you, sir. Yeah.
We worked for many years regarding this, but the collaboration between you mentioned rightly, we are all silos and we are surrounded by our firewall. There has been a program started called One Health, human health, animal health, and environment health. One Health since 2012. And I am involved with that through Chittagong University of Animal Sciences, Veterinary Animal Sciences, but they cannot make a breakthrough. Why? That is the firewall of non-communication, 2 attitude, 3 ego. And so we need, if we want to do that, the first and foremost thing is that tertiary education must be at the university level without isolation. It is said that in an university dormitory, 4 seats are there. In one seat, there will be general student, science student, then a medical student and engineering students. So the grooming up of the collaboration should start from the very beginning. That has not been done in this country, but time has come up. So I have 2 suggestions through this organization. We have to don't look through or not from top down. We have to go from bottom up. What is the situation here? 2, we have to take a contingency plan for damage control. The term damage control and stakeholders collaboration. In that case, I can give you another example. In our country, we have got MD degrees, FCPS dissertations. They have got thesis. Why? No department has got a thesis, title, plan, chronological at that of an university in the Western world. So this can be utilized very easily if the department has got a sequence of thesis. But I tried during my time in the principal, but that is a public run institution strictly under the executive control of what is called executive organ of the government. So hands are tied up. That's the thing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. There's a very important comment came out in the comments that HR section, the hospital, the government hospital, the data entry is still in handwritten. When you have a handwritten paper data entry, it takes away immediately any opportunity to do any good data analysis and scientific research. That is another big impediment. Dr. Muniruddin Ahmed, you wanted to say something? I see you raised hand.
Yeah, I want to take the opportunity to thank you and all the guest of honors and panelists to join the discussion. And I want to make one comments about the collaboration. Actually, that is a culture, overall research culture. We have to develop that one. We don't have that one. We are doing some research, some organization. ICDDLB is one of the pioneer where I worked for 1 year at the beginning of my career. So, আমাদের মনে হয় যে কাজটা করতে হবে, there is one-stop solution for all problems. That is develop leadership. If we develop leadership in every sector, medical sector, other general university doctors, that can solve our problem. From the National Young Academy of Bangladesh, we organized for the first time leadership training for the academics. We included one topic, research culture development in the institutes. আমাদের এই মেন্টালিটিটা পরিবর্তন করার জন্য আমরা হয়তো ভবিষ্যতে কাজ করব। তো আমার এইখানে বাংলাদেশের প্রথিতযশা মেডিকেল শিক্ষক, প্রশাসক, গবেষকদের প্রতি অনুরোধ থাকবে, আপনারা যদি আপনাদের অভিজ্ঞতা থেকে একটু লেখালেখি করেন, ন্যাশনাল ডেইলিতে আমাদের সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশ প্ল্যাটফর্মটাতেও লেখালেখি করা যাবে। বিশেষ করে এই ধরনের লেখা হাই প্রোফাইল এক্সপিরিয়েন্স প্রফেশনালদের কাছ থেকে তার একটা ব্যাপক ইম্প্যাক্ট থাকবে এবং আমরা পরিবর্তন আনতে পারি। এবং ভবিষ্যতে হয়তো আমরা রুমি ভাইয়ের নেতৃত্বে আমাদের মেডিকেল সেক্টরের রিসার্চ ইকোসিস্টেম চেঞ্জ আনার কিভাবে যায় সেই ব্যাপারে হয়তো আমরা কাজ করব। তো আমার পক্ষ থেকে আবারও সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ। সায়েন্টিফিক বাংলাদেশের পক্ষ থেকে আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ প্রোগ্রামে আবারও আপনাদের পাবো এই প্রত্যাশা রেখে আমি আমার সংক্ষিপ্ত বক্তব্য এখানে শেষ করছি।
আমার মনে হয় এই মধ্যে আমরা ক্লোজিং করে দিই। আমরা অলরেডি আমরা 1 hour behind. Unless there are any pressing issue, we can end now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate time. It will be recorded. It will be posted in multiple websites. It will be a living document for many years to come. And this thing will be also compiled into a paper. A small paper will come out from what we discussed. It will be published in scientific journal with all your contributing thanks in that paper. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take a photo for all in the screen.
Thank you.
Okay, I have taken photos.